just survive. Oh, you will see me thrive. Can't write my story. I'm beyond the archetype. I won't just conform. No matter how you shake my core. 'Cause my roots, they run deep. Oh, oh yeah, so little faith. Don't doubt it, don't doubt it. Victory is in my veins. I know it, and now I'm not negotiating. I'll fight it, I will transform. I will transform. When the fire's at my feet again, and the vultures all start circling, they're whispering, you're out of time, but still I rise. This is no mistake, no accident. When you think the final nail is in, think again. Don't be surprised, I will still rise. I must stay conscious through the madness and chaos. So I call on my angels. They say, oh yeah, so little faith. Don't doubt it, don't doubt it. Victory is in your veins. You know it, and you will not negotiate. Just fight it, and be transformed. Be transformed. 'Cause when the fire's at my feet again, and the vultures all start circling, they're whispering, you're out of time, but still I rise. This is no mistake, no accident. When you think the final nail is in, think again. Don't be surprised, I will still rise. No one ever told us where the easy part begins. The story that they sold us keeps us hanging from the end. So we'll keep on starting the fires, thinking we'll smoke out the liars. We don't give up when we're tired. That isn't the way that I'm wired. Someday, we're gonna rule the world. I know someday we're gonna rule the world. Counting down to explosion. I hear the moment approaching. Someday we're gonna rule the world. Waiting avalanches are the calm before the fall. Lightning when it flashes tells a story of it all. So we'll keep on starting the fires, thinking we'll smoke out the liars. We don't give up when we're tired. That isn't the way that I'm wired. We own the future. We own the future. Someday we're gonna rule the world. I know someday we're gonna rule the world. Counting down to explosion. I hear the moment when I look into your eyes. They tell no lies. I can feel the conversation starting to arise. I'm a living legend. I'm a broken man. Who are you? So who are you today? Everybody's got demons, and sometimes they take control. Everybody's got demons, sometimes they got to go. Sometimes they got to go.
But does not get the backstop. Nice ultimate from Sindelian. Teleports coming in from Tanza. They want to turn this fight around. Paddy's Wagon's already down to 25% HP. Cleanse has been used. Barrier has been popped. Paddy's Wagon gets a kill for himself. Another teleport comes on down. Ratload is going to try to turn the fight in LSG's favor. Now Tanza's going to go on in. Moody's going to go towards Paddy's Wagon. Gets a kill for himself. Rocket is going in. Gets blocked.
Yeah, he's going to hit on AK, but he's going to be fine. Use the quickness and the Grand Engine. Gets a 3-man charm so far. Mango getting super low, but it looks like any more fights going to have. Toad's going in. Drops trying to get the buff on himself, but he's going to snare up Indigo, but it does not matter. The Impale's going to be cleansed away. And now the fight's going to go in. That's going to be 1 kill going over the side of Cetra. That's 3 kills on the side of Cetra. No one's going to go down. They're trying to make something happen. Doesn't matter. It's going to be a clean ace for Cetra. Dog's going to take Toads. He's going to be pulled back. He was trying to forge something out. He's going to be charmed up. We see Mango. He goes in to Glacier Fish. Goes out. But Tazo gets it. The Grand Challenge is going to be completed. Now he's going to the backside. Beast is going to repel up. We see Titan go under the tower. Mango is now going to be taken away. K-Beast. He's going to be taken out as well. That's going to be 4 members. He's going to be going down with Indigo. Fallen next. Yes! He finally does get on.
And essentially how they're playing this.
Nice finding. They're going in, looking for the fight. There's the Vanguard's dead. They're trying to kill. Oh no, but they're not able to get him. The taunt comes out. Sindelian's going to flash forward. He does freeze him up. He's going to use the Zoe. His heroic entrance is there. You see the GA popped on Harvey. He might be able to be taken down. Finally, he is. This might be the fight they want. Moody's in there. He uses the Cloud Gems. There's the stopwatch. Friedman's going to fall. Oh no, looks to be the next target. Meanwhile, we got Cerberus trying to push. He's doing what Tanzoni did last game.
Well, here we are again. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Nightfall Champions League. Tonight with me, I have Switch.
Yo.
And my name is Zane. As always, we get ourselves started with a couple series, but since it is the quarterfinals, we only have one series tonight. Yesterday, you got to see the other series, which was Fruition versus Centric Gaming. And tonight you have Impulse ghosting versus Polar Ace. Fruition took the 2-0 victory in a pretty dominant style in the end. Well, we'll see how it goes for Impulse and Polar Ace tonight. The pick and ban phase, I believe, is going to happen very shortly. But Switch, tell us a little about yourself. Get the people knowing who you are, and get started on this game pretty soon.
Yeah, I mean, what's it called? I'm a caster. Not sure if you can tell. Analyst, by the way, but I cast in Upsurge, I cast in Risen, so if you know those, hey, shout out to those if you watch from those leagues. But other than that, yeah, I'm a caster, ready to get this game started. We're in 9.10, so I'm excited about that. Hopefully no Yumi play, though, because that win rate is absolutely abysmal. But other than that, go ahead and pick some stuff that was buffed this patch, perhaps. I know the new Soraka rework, it got a couple of buffs as well on top of the rework, so that's in a decent position as well. I know Zyra has been gaining a lot of steam, a lot of momentum, and we've got an interesting mid meta, I would say. There's a lot of assassins and mages flying around there, lots of explosive stuff, so I'm excited, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely wonder how the pick and ban phase is going to go, what they're going to grab, what they're going to try to target out. One thing I also want to add on is, I forgot to tell Switch this at the start. For the quarterfinals this week, Yumi has been taken out. She's not allowed to be played. So next week she is allowed and open to be played. But this week, because she did come out and we think it's best for us to make sure that she's not in the play, she's not allowed in the quarterfinals. So tonight we will have every single champion open except for her. And it's not too much of a problem, I haven't seen too many good things about Yumi, but
yeah.
There could be somebody that decides to pull it out and maybe is strong on it. So you never know. So we have to make sure we take that away from them. Now, making sure that I don't have too many messages. Goodness. As soon as I started getting 6 messages on my Discord. Wow.
Mr. Popular, huh? No need to brag.
Okay, that's not... All right. Well, before we get into this game, Impulse and Polar Ace, kind of the mid-tier teams. They both been looking pretty strong for themselves in their area, but when you look at the bracket, you have Recon, LSG, and now Fruition are the top 3 for sure. Fruition was 3rd place, which is why they had to face someone in the quarterfinals instead of skipping the quarters like LSG and Recon 5. But they had, like I said, a dominating 2-0 victory over Such a Gaming, which means that they move on to the semifinals. And I'm interested in knowing which one of these teams is going to move on to the semifinals and which team is Recon 5 going to pick, because Recon 5 got 1st place. They have the right to decide who they want to face from the quarterfinals. So they either get to decide Fruition or the winner of this series tonight.
Well, we'll have to see. I mean, we were talking about it a little bit at first, but this matchup is relatively even, you could say. They're both middle of the pack teams. I have actually kept my eye a little bit on the stats, and I would say both of the mid laners are pretty influential in the wins. You're Nurse as well as Hey There Losers. Both good carries in their own regards. Took a look at their CS per minute, and actually, or per 10 seconds, I don't know how it goes, but either way, the mid laner coming in here for Ghost actually has, I believe, an 8.2 CS per 10 or whatever, or per minute, which is actually pretty nice. That's almost spot on. Obviously 10, the bar where it's okay, you're perfect, but 8, no slouch by any means. So lot of good things to look forward to, at least in the mid lane. I already talked about how there's a lot of picks flying around, but just to touch on it, on the picks in the current mid meta, we've been seeing a lot of assassins running rampant, especially in MSI as well, but you can also run with the flex picks between top and mid. I know Silas and Rise and Akali, they can all be flex around there, so you can preserve the ambiguity of your solo lanes until you go later into that draft. And overall, just carries, you can get fighters in there even. You can run the Aatrox or something along those lines. And of course, those mages in the mid lane. So we'll have to see what comes out.
Yeah, for sure. And we saw it yesterday with Cetra and Fruition. There was, in the first match, there were so many champions that could be flexed in different roles that not even myself and Tacit were able to figure out where the three champions were going to go for fruition. So at the end of the draft, they locked everything in, but I believe it was Nautilus, Aatrox, and somebody else, and I'm like, okay, you got these 3 champions, and you can't even tell where they're going to go.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so you got Nautilus who can go top, mid, or support. You have Aatrox who can go top, jungle, or mid, and then I'm trying to remember who the last person was. But you get what I'm saying. It's pretty difficult now because there's so many champions that you can flex. And also, Such a Gaming as well had a couple of champions that they were able to flex. They did not have the opportunity like Fruition had after the pick and ban phase ended to kind of switch it around in different roles, not allowing for the opposing side to know where they were going. And it actually did mess up Such a Gaming a lot. So, got to give some credits to Coach Matt there for being able to use that to his advantage. And Such a Gaming looked pretty good. They had like a good pick and ban phase, and the start was okay. But Fruition was able to just completely sweep Setcher off. And it was pretty devastating for him. So Fruition going in strong into the semis. Impulse versus Polar Ace. I think, at least for me, I think Impulse is favored here. Impulse definitely looking strong. And Polar Ace has not been looking the greatest. They have their moments. I believe to me, their bot lane and their jungle are their strongest. Jack and Bishan, definitely their strongest players on the team. And then Horizon kind of rounds it up for them, which I think is giving them the edge when it comes to these series. But Impulse all around, they have the nice 5-man team that's able just to, that's able to secure the victories for their teams. Now, one thing I am noticing is I believe Hey There Losers is not going to be here.
Yep, looks like it, actually.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to put in a sub for this game because Hey There Losers not able to make it to game number 1.
Also, I'm missing... I feel like I'm missing Bishan in the jungle, but I'm not sure.
I don't... I'm sorry if I missed Bishan. I did take a little snippet for you for the stats, but don't worry.
I found him.
There we go. So it does look like we have another spectate, but make sure, Switch, that you have the spectate for yourself, because now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to move ourselves into the pick and ban phase for game number 1.
Whew, let's get started already. And Morgana, very solid ban. I would say she could be flexing that mid and support. Like we were talking about, those flex picks, they're so tough. When you get to the end of a draft and you still don't know where each champion is going in lanes, like that's a problem. That's where League is a little bit too flexible and it's tough to work around. But bans flying through. Any notable bans? I would say Jhin is a notable ban to me. We don't really see Jhin, but perhaps that is directed directly towards the AD carry for Ace, and it is a strong pick in lane as well. Braum going to be another ban, and the last one going to be the Hecarim. So Hecarim, this is actually 9.10, so way past Hecarim nerfs. I believe those were 9.9, and Hecarim's damage with that devastating charge has been reduced, but still overall, he's a good pick. He does still have that spike once you get towards those 2 items, of course the Triforce and whatever enchant you want to get on your jungle item, and then he starts to take over games. He starts to delete backliners, but his early game sometimes can be abusable. Now, first pick Nautilus, and it looks like the result is going to be a Xayah picked up for Polar Ace over here. Would love to see the Rakan perhaps secured early so that it can't be snatched out, and there you have it.
Yeah, the Xayah Rakan in the bot lane, definitely a devastating duo. And one thing I would like to add on about the Hecarim is, you're right, like Hecarim is a strong champion and definitely can be devastating, even though his charge was reduced for the damage-wise.
Yep.
As we all know, the jungle as well got nerfed, so that you don't get as much gold from the jungle. But because Hecarim now can be put together with Conquer and be played in the top lane, it makes Hecarim actually viable. So now Hecarim can be in the top lane and be able to get the gold that he needs for the items to deal the kind of damage that we've seen many times before. But IG now looking to grab Kai'Sa, Aatrox for themselves, 2 champions that are very, very strong, and we've seen how devastating Aatrox was with the Fruition game. And now Polar Ace grabbed themselves the Rise pick, and I really like the Rise pick whenever you have a 5-on-5 tournament. for League of Legends, Rise is always one of those comfort picks for me just because his ultimate becomes a game changer. Having an ultimate that can bring your entire team to an objective just in like a snap of your fingers is devastating for the other team, to say the least.
Absolutely. It does have a high skill ceiling though, so we'll have to see if Polar Ace can use all the tools disposable to Rise. I mean, he also has that long snare on point and click as well, which can be very nice when you're trying to set up ganks, whether that be in the mid lane or the top lane. And what better follow-up than the Jarvan to come in with the flag and drag. Once you already land that snare, you can get the free knock-up. That knock-up, of course, uncleansable, unless you cleanse and flash out, but that's already a lot. And so, very devastating combo to work with. We'll have to see what lane they go. Rakan also does have a sick engage as well, so you can look forward to Jarvan follow-up no matter what's coming out at first. But the Olaf going to be the reply here coming out from Impulse. And Olaf, I actually love seeing Olafs. I feel like I don't see enough of Olafs because he has such a crazy early game. You don't expect it, but that undertow base damage, if he catches you out of position, he could just absolutely run you down and constantly refresh on those axes. And of course, Akali, that the Aatrox and the Akali, we have no idea what lane they're going to go into.
Yeah, they could be flexed either mid or top lane, which is really helpful for IG. But I agree with you. Olaf is a strong pick when it comes to going against champions like Jarvan, because he is able to run them down. He's able to get onto the enemy, and you know how strong Jarvan's early game is. He has a very good ganking potential. He has a fair amount of damage to his name, and when you put him up against the Olaf, that early game fight is definitely going to go in Olaf's favor at any point. So like you said, if he's going to get caught out, it's going to be devastating for the Jarvan. But Polar Ace is going to finalize their draft with the Orianna in the mid lane. A very well-rounded team comp, but not sure how I feel about the Rise and Orianna together. Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that one.
Yeah, I'm a little skeptical myself. I don't know about the Orianna into that composition. I think you have a lot of safety coming out for Impulse. You think you have the Kai'Sa, Killer Instinct. She can reposition out of that ultimate even before it trigger escapes. There you have, of course, Akali Shroud, where even if she does get caught in it, she's not exposed too long, assuming she's not too displaced away from her Shroud. And you have Olaf, I mean, the Ragnarok, he's not even going to feel it at some point in the game. So we'll have to see if they can chain the CC together for the side of Polar Ace. I mean, they do have a lot of tools to work with. Orianna and Rise are going to come out with a decent amount of mid-game pressure, I would say, especially when you're going towards that 5v5 team fights. I think it can be quite devastating in the right situations.
Oh yeah, for sure. And you know, with that Olaf pick, it definitely makes it a lot harder for Polar Ace when they want to look for team fights or objectives, just because, like you said, with the Ragnarok not being able to like CC the Olaf, and usually Olaf around mid game and late game, he gets pretty tanky, he can soak up a lot of damage. And when you have somebody who's on your backline at all times, slowing your AD carry and being able to take all this damage, makes it so difficult for your team to actually try to hold up on the fact that you still have 4 other members to worry about, but you have like 3 members worrying about 1 player. So if IG can pull this off correctly, every single team fight that they take with the Ragnarok up, and you have to say with the Aatrox ultimate as well, that duo popping up in front of your face, and then Nautilus is like, you have such a big front line from IG that Polar Ace needs to make sure they don't get caught out at all.
Yeah, not just a big front line though. I would even say so much skirmishing potential coming out from them. I mean, we talked about the Kai'Sa repositioning, but also the Akali and the Aatrox will feel quite comfortable sitting in your backline as well. I would say this is the new Aatrox rework, where I feel like he has a lot more impact, but of course he's not guaranteed that resurrect anymore. So if you find a game, a team fight where you can snowball in the position of IG, I think you can really take over and absolutely decimate the side of Polar Ace. It will all have to depend on how the dive goes out, but you've got plenty of tools to keep that Xayah down, and that's why I'm really looking forward to seeing how the Rise and how the Orianna are going to play this matchup. Are they going to be able to get ahead? Because if not, I think you're really going to be lacking a lot of damage for the side of Polar Ace.
Oh yeah, and you know, one thing that I'm really like looking at, and seen many times before is that Nautilus support. He has so much crowd control and so much damage. People underestimate this champion when they go into like solo queue or even 5v5s. They don't realize how much damage this tank does in the early stages of the game, because well, you think it's a tank, so it's just going to be CC and that's all you have to worry about. But if he lands a hook and follows up with a auto and then like auto cancel and then W damage, he has a slow, he has a hook, he has extra damage, he roots you. This man is doing 200-300 damage in the early game without any items at all, and your carry is sitting on like a 700 health pool, and that's half of her HP gone in an instant like that. So I like IG's bot lane a lot. You've got the Xayah with the Nautilus combo against a Rakan Xayah, or did I say that right?
Yeah,
Kai'Sa.
you just switched it around.
Yeah, Kai'Sa Nautilus, I meant to say, and then Xayah Rakan. I feel like because you have the Lovers bot lane, you have to have something to answer that, and IG have definitely been able to answer across the board for this pick and ban.
Absolutely, I have to say, and I agree with you. Nautilus, deceptively strong when you're in his kill range. Lands that hook, applies a lot of damage, and also the follow-up CC does apply stacks for Kai'Sa's passive to go off, so allowing her to get that execute 5th attack a little bit quicker. I sort of see Impulse's bot lane as a kill lane, but then again, Xayah Rakan, like you said, no slouch in the lane. They have such a nasty combo, especially when you activate that double W from Xayah, allowing Rakan as well to apply some true damage with each auto attack. There's a very high skill ceiling there, so I would love to see, I would say, which team can get their first gank in the bot lane, because I think it all snowballs from there. I think they both have on-command engages, so if either of the bot lanes do get ahead, they can just keep smashing you, consistently in that 2v2, getting that turret plating down and influencing the rest of the map.
Yeah, it would be devastating for whichever team is not able to get their bot lane ahead. And if either one of these bot lanes fall behind and they're able to take control of the bot lane turret, like take it down and then make their bot lane move over to the mid lane, it makes it so much harder for any team to do anything here. And one thing I was just looking at with these pick and ban, this is completely different from the bot lane, but I was interested in specifically why they went with the Olaf, and we talked about it, but I was thinking of picks that would be like decent if they decided not to go with the Olaf, and they have three laners that have melee range. You have Akali, you have Aatrox, and you have Nautilus. Who goes well with melee? I was thinking Sejuani. So if IG don't have Olaf next game, because if it's going to be banned out by Polar Ace, they could try to do the same composition, but with a Sejuani instead, because the Sejuani early game pressure with any champion that has a melee, or that is melee, can be so devastating. And so that's where I was like, if IG really wanted to have their bot lane win right away and kind of get a huge lead over the Lovers bot lane of Polar Ace, you'd want to go for that Sejuani, but hey, the Olaf will be more impactful, in my opinion, when it comes to the later end of the game and those team fights because of the engage that Polar Ace has and the amount of crowd control.
Yeah, and I think on one hand, the Sejuani is great, especially that's level 6. You can head to the bot lane and you've got a lot of follow-up in the form of Kai'Sa Nautilus. I will say though, Olaf, especially when we come to these mid-game skirmishes, will have Willy Wonka's golden ticket into the backline of Polar Ace. I mean, not being able to be snared by Ryze, cannot get knocked up by Jarvan and by Orianna Shockwave, as well as not being charmed by Rakan. There's nothing stopping the Olaf from literally taking a waltz down the street into Xayah's backyard and having a heyday. And that could force out the ultimate prematurely from Xayah, then allowing the other assassins access to free hit Xayah. I mean, Akali is going to be having a picnic as well into that backline. And I think if you're Impulse's composition as a whole, I think you're really looking forward to that 20, maybe 25-minute power spike. And if you're Ace, you have insanely good front-to-back team fighting. You've got clear engage, you've got clear frontliners, and a nasty wombo combo to work with as well. That Jarvan into Orianna Shockwave is going to mess up anyone's day, and it's just so hard to recover once you lose 2 to 3 members in a team fight. It's going to be really tough if Polar Ace do not fall behind early.
Yeah, Polar Ace here, they're gonna have to play this early game. Oh, excuse me. They have to play this early game correctly here, and I do agree. The Orianna Jarvan combo can be pretty devastating when it comes to both of them hitting level 6, locking somebody in place, and then following up with the shockwave is very devastating. And if because they have that combo, what I think Polar Ace should be doing here is really having Bashan stay around the mid lane and trying to get Putney ahead, or even just keep the wave pressured so that Putney is able to make his way down bot. Because then if you're able to get Putney and Bashan making their way down to help out Jack and Horizon, and like you said, get the bot lane ahead, it can be pretty devastating for them. So I think Polar Ace's plan here should have active up in the top lane, just controlling the Aatrox, not letting him have anything, or even just kind of like having just a little CS farm back and forth between each other, but allowing for his team to focus on that pressure down on the bot side. But Impulse, what they should be doing is, because you have a Akali on your Nurse, who is very devastating on that champion, like super good on that champion. And, before level 6, your Nurse has some issues with, not your Nurse. Akali has some issues in the early stages before level 6 because she got nerfed with her healing. But as soon as she hits that level 6 power spike, she's able to maneuver around the shockwave and dodge it around. So if your Nurse plays this correctly, it could be pretty hard for Putney to do that game plan with Bashan for the bot lane.
Yeah, I think that is one of the more frustrating things about Akali that people have started to be increasingly vocal about. The fact that the Shroud, you could just get damage and there's seemingly no counterplay. There's no response to it, At most, someone could get maybe a skill shot, maybe an auto attack off, but you fade back into that Shroud. And a little bot lane trading, but obviously I still give it a little bit in favor of that Xayah Rakan, but I think the scaling of the Kai'Sa in this game is going to be quite nice. This is 9.10, however, so that Rageblade not as strong as it was before.
Yeah, and they did buff Essence Reaver. It didn't get too much of a buff, but it was enough to where you started seeing more champions pop up like Xayah and Sivir.
Yep.
And because Rageblade started falling off, so then there are other champions that started going up as other champions who were strong started going down. And one thing, if you were looking at the map, you'll notice that Bashan immediately ganked mid. So he's already been mid lane, and your Nurse knows it. So that is going to be telling Impulse right now that Bashan wants the mid lane. He wants that mid lane focused down so that Putney is able to get ahead. And so that should be a call for your Nurse and Bluxy to set up a counter gank possibly, because of how strong Bluxy is against Bashan when they come to like fighting against each other. But now on the bot side, Horizon jumping on in, getting a knockup for himself, and a fair amount of damage to Swifty, but Horizon took a lot of damage as well there. So about 50-50 trade from ADC to the support. Not too bad.
Yep. At the very least, you do get most of the damage onto the Rakan, so he will end up healing that up. And supports do come with a bit more potions than the AD carry, but other than that, nice pressure in the mid lane coming out of Putney. I do agree with your win conditions for the side of Polar Ace. I think either get that mid jungle going, and here we go.
There it is. Polar Ace with the knockup onto your Nurse. He's trying to run away. Camera's actually going to move down to the bot lane. Horizon taken low. The flash forward, and the heal's not going to keep him alive. Hero takes the first blood, and Putney will follow up with a kill for himself.
Okay, there you go. The 2v2 already coming out for the side of Kai'Sa and Nautilus, and all off of some nice prepped up damage. You remember, Horizon took half his HP in a trade about a minute ago. They go back, they put more damage onto Horizon. He finally goes down due to the Ignite and the 5th shot from Kai'Sa's passive. So well played from them. And in the mid, it was just a traditional gank. You started up, Akali has nowhere to run from there, and does end up getting picked out. So 1-for-1 trade overall, but I think you're okay with the distributions that's been going for the most part. For the most part, it's obviously not optimal to get the kill on Herux on the Nautilus, but you do want gold in that bot lane, and of course you want Putney to get that gold as well.
Yeah, and one other thing to note is that Polar Ace, because they had the Rise, like we said earlier on, he's able to keep the pressure onto the Aatrox, and because he had that pressure, Rise was able just to walk down through the river and put your nurse down into a position where he had to be taken down at least by one of them. So because of that pressure, because of your nurse moving up rather than down, it allowed for Polar Ace to take advantage of it because of the way that they had the lanes at the very moment. So very well done by Active there. And, as we know, with the Rise, he does need to play aggressive. And Bashan, once again, is here in the mid lane. He is not being seen by your nurse, but should be spotted out in just a moment. He is being pinged out right now and walking towards Bluxy here. They could make their way on over. Horizon is there with Bashan here, making its way on over as well. He's in the river, may look for a hook here. Does land on the Bashan, gets him rooted up. He should be able to get over the wall without a problem, but he does get taken down to about 50% HP, and that could have been really bad for him.
It could have, but nice to see both teams being very active on the map, not giving up too much pressure at the moment, and both very wide awake. This is quarterfinals, like you said, after all, and I think this match going for you will be well on your way, making your way into that semifinal and hopefully a spot in that finals as well. But here comes a gank.
Yeah, Bluxy there to help out his mid laner, but if Bluxy wasn't there, that would have been bad for Bashan. I mean, bad for your nurse.
Yeah, I think Bashan there just trying to make sure that Putney cannot get shoved in too hard. So showing himself, that does disperse the mid duo from the side of Impulse and allowing Putney to not get shoved out. Looks like he's going to go for a back now and not lose too many minions.
Yeah, and Bluxy was kind of getting collapsed there, but Swifty wisely making his way up just to help out his jungler at the moment. And with such a lead that, well, not even a lead, I shouldn't say a lead, but because the hero was able to get the kill for himself, he does have a little bit of an advantage whenever they try to fight. And right now, that's going to show. Jack gets hooked on up. Bluxy looking for the target, flashes on forward. He does get taken down, and Horizon's going to walk away without his lovebird.
Yeah, a solid gang coming out from Bluxy. And like you said, the strong point here right now is Hero and Swifty in this bot lane. They engage with the anchor, and that is a quick kill. Going to transition that pressure into the dragon now as well. Swifty putting some damage down, making sure no premature backs come out. Looks like it's going to be, at the moment, the Mountain Drake going to be given over quickly to the side of Impulse.
Yeah, Mountain Dragon in the early stages of the game is definitely very helpful because if you're able to get the dragon a lot earlier on, before 14 minutes, the dragon will help you get those stacks or tiers, plates on the turrets. Stacks, tiers, plates, same thing. But they give you the gold anyways. So the Mountain Drag will help you get those plates and give you more gold. And as we all know, right now with the way the season is going, the key in the early game is that gold. And sometimes not even a kill. It's more focused on the CS and getting those plates rather than focusing on getting kill after kill. And I'm looking at the top lane right now. Active is being pushed in, and he's losing a lot of minions here. He doesn't have much mana to clear it out. And Rexless realizes, so he's wisely pushing it up, so he does lose a fair amount of gold up in the top lane. But Bashan, once again, looking for something in the mid lane. Your nurse playing back. It's going to be really difficult for Bashan to look for anything here. They both have ultimates, though. So there is a chance they could look for a possible engage, but as your nurse was already stepped back towards his turret, he does have a couple dashes to get himself away, so a very hard target there. Nurse dealing a fair amount of damage back to Putney at the moment, but as you saw, Putney just did one simple combo and already got your nurse down to 75% HP. Just think about that if your nurse steps up too far forward and Bashan follows up. It's pretty devastating.
Yeah, and I don't mind all the presence coming out of Bashan towards that mid lane. I mean, covering for Putney while he's able to keep your nurse down is definitely something that you want in the matchup. It is range versus melee, so
hook in the bot lane. Jack's going to get hooked on up, taking a lot of damage. Horizon now taking down to 50% HP. The heal was used early on. Not really sure what they think. They thought that they were going to go fully in and Swifty was going to follow up with his ultimate, but still, Horizon taking down to 50%. That's one summoner spells used already by Jack, which makes this lane even harder for Polar Ace right now. Bashan on the other side of the wall, they are being spotted out by a ward. But that, very well done by Impulse's bot lane, putting the pressure up and using that Nautilus to their advantage.
Yeah, up one summoner now as heal is about to come off cooldown, so you can look forward to putting some more damage on Horizon. That is how they won the first 2v2, so perhaps you can look towards it there. Bishan, he is hovering around this bot side and mid side, however, so perhaps he might come down quickly if another 2v2 breaks out. But either way, a gank in the top lane. Some nice positioning from Bluxy.
Oh, okay. Bluxy now follows with the axe. He does get locked up and not able to get himself onto active. But it was an interesting play there. He did get the some camps stolen away. And Bashan's sitting on the bot side. Now here it is. Putney walking down to the bot side. He was spotted out. But this is the play that Polar Ace wants to look for. They want to focus this bot lane. The jungle and mid laner are here for Polar Ace. They're probably going to look for an engage soon. Yes, they are. Horizon.
Whoa.
Ooh, very early ultimate. And Hero and Swifty are able just to walk away without a problem. They saw Putney in the river, and they possibly knew that Bishan was on the other side of the walls. He wasn't spotted by the jungle ward that they put down for quite some time. So now all that did was delay Polar Ace's advantages and give Bluxy the opportunity to go for Herald.
Yeah, I would say so. It went overall nice. Ace getting out, but there's the Herald up in the top lane. That is pre-14 minutes, so you can expect a lot of that plating gold to go over to the top jungle duo of Impulse.
Yeah, and now Jarvan's going to make his way on over. 2 plates for them, and the Mountain Drag should help them get a couple more. But the hook from Hero onto him. Horizon gets knocked up pretty soon. Swifty does have his ultimate. He's able to follow up. Take him down, and now he's going to flash under the turret. Jack still in a really bad spot. Hero taking a lot of damage from the turret. He should be taken down here. Oh, wait a minute. Hero didn't get taken down. That's 2 kills.
Yeah, smooth dive. I guess you could say just barely by the skin of their teeth. Both the bot laners for the side of Impulse living out through there. They managed to get the double kill, and they're just extending their lead even further now. It's going to be a huge lead coming in for them. Perhaps they can look to influence the rest of the map, but like we said, overall across the map, I would say Impulse winning out. They get that nice gold in the top lane. They win the 2v2 in the bot lane, and just before that, they did dodge the gank coming out when Putney roamed down and Horizon popped that Rakan ult, did not come up with anything. So overall, some nice, intelligent play coming out from them.
Yeah, delaying that amount of time will really hurt them, but you're nursing a really bad spot now as Bashan made his way to the mid lane. He does look to go for Putney and flashes away, gets locked up, and Putney will take the kill.
Yeah, just trying to make the good out of a bad situation. Your nurse did engage just as Jarvan showed himself. Rakan ended up there as well, so unfortunately just had to go for one desperation kill, could not quite get it. So that is a little gold given once again over to Putney. He is now 2-0. However, I think you're still coming out a little bit more ahead if you are Impulse.
Yeah, now Polar is taking control of the top side. They know that the turret's already down to 2 plates, so they need to get control of this top lane so that Impulse does not take advantage of it. But also at the same time, you have to worry down here on the bot side because of how strong Hero and Swifty are. Bluxy could take advantage of that. They could look for a play. But Jack and Horizon have all their sums up. The only summoner spell up for Impulse is that flash from Swifty if they try to look for a play on the bot side. So they're going to have to play this very carefully. Jack is on the other side of the wall here. They know that Bluxy is there, but there's nothing they can really do about it. Bashan once again in the mid lane. Your nurse walks on forward and realizes Bashan is there. And you know, with the amount of gold that's been lost from Polar Ace already and the strength of Impulse's bot lane, it's going to be really difficult for them when one turret falls, or excuse me, the bot lane turret falls. It's going to be devastating for Polar Ace because that bot lane's able to move around the map more and be more of a threat. And I think Impulse soon should look for that top lane or bot lane turret as mid lane doesn't have as much pressure.
Yeah, that bot lane take is going to unlock Swifty and Hero into roaming to the rest of the map. Now, we didn't touch on it too much, but actually it was the Infernal Drake secured for the side of Impulse as well. They are having themselves quite a nice early game, I would say. Around 3k up, as well as 2 Drakes secured. Here's some damage coming in top lane.
Oh, the hook. Oh! The wall, what? Oh, but now maybe a gank from Bluxy here. He is in the brush, walking on forward. This is definitely what they want to look for. Hook.
Nice dodge.
Misses again. Jack with a nice dodge. Horizon gets some heal for his 80 carry, but Bluxy's...
Yeah, absolutely. Bluxy not seen yet, but the wave is in a terrible position for him, and I think
Okay,
might
the
be
hook
onto it.
does
Here we go.
land. There we go. Horizon now the focus, but Jack gets knocked up. Doesn't take too much damage. Now that Horizon's down to about 50% HP, they know Bashan's in the mid lane. They are going to be focused down here
Whoa.
on the bot side. Swifty gets the first kill for himself. Hero taking a lot of damage. It should be a kill for Jack, but that is a double kill for Swifty.
Yeah, and although there were a couple mistakes pulled off, you still have Impulse getting a nice dive that is going to lead to the bot tower taking over. Like we said, unlocking that bot lane is going to be critical for snowballing this game, and overall a 2-for-1 trade as well as the tower. That is a win. You did expend TP, however, so perhaps we can see a TP play coming out for Polar Ace in the near future.
Yeah, now because the bot lane is open, they should be able to make their way on to the mid lane for Impulse. Rexless should be able to help out your nurse a little bit, but having Swifty and Hero in the top lane will be a lot better for them. And now Bashan's going to go on forward. The Shockwave's going to miss because he's going to get the flash away. Your nurse gets the kill for himself on the Putney, and Bashan trying to follow him back.
Here
Realm
comes
Warp is coming
Active.
through. Ooh, your nurse gets himself away. Bluxy is focusing on Bashan. Bashan is going to flash away, get himself really close. Oh, Active's going to land the follow-up damage and take him down. Now the rest of the team making the way on over. Swifty should be able to pick up this kill without a problem. And Active running for his life at the moment. 3 members of Impulse making the way on over. Horizon now just trying to stall some time for Active to keep him alive. Horizon takes a lot of damage there from Rexless. Should have his abilities up in just a moment. Swifty jumps on forward. The flash away allows for the Polar Ace support to get himself out, but the top laner gets taken down, and Impulse should push out this mid lane.
It was like pulling teeth, but finally the correct kills go in the favor of Impulse. Rather, Polar Ace just caught out a little bit too much there. It was a nice play from your nurse. I thought he would get out too, but the fade away Q coming out from Active did allow them to secure
Okay,
at least
now
one kill.
Nautilus is going on in, takes him down without a problem. Bashan taking a lot of damage, and Impulse
dude.
just running through Polar Ace.
And this is getting really out of hand for the side of Polar Ace. Losing 2 towers now, as well as a 3-for-1 trade. That is a nice snowball in favor of Impulse. They are going to take their money back to the bank with them, hopefully get some nice items. And you gotta expect probably fighting around this dragon or around perhaps even the Baron is not something that you want as Polar Ace. You're just down way too much gold and you need more time to scale.
Yeah, and Impulse, because they got 2 turrets in the mid lane, 1 turret down in the bot lane, the only turret left is that top lane. Their next objective that they have up is that dragon. So you completely opened up the map for yourself on the bottom half. You have the ability for Impulse to go for that dragon without a problem. You don't have to worry about anyone for Polar Ace because they're so far behind, like you said. So you have the lanes pressured. You get yourself the dragon. You make your way top. You get that top lane and turret. Completely opens up the map for you because you're so far ahead. The turrets are taken down. There is no chance for Polar Ace because you'll be able to take away their gold in the jungle, take away some CS from them in the lanes, and it allows you to go for any objective that you want.
Absolutely. And now Clouddrake on the table. We are seeing a bit of a vision war now, but gotta expect Polar Ace to be going back now. Active. It's gonna be pulled back.
Okay. Oh, Rexless is actually going to go on in. Active taking some damage. He does dodge the second one. He gets him rooted up. Will he be able to follow up with the extra damage? And he does. And Rexless gets the reset.
The dunk for Rexless and every lane now, I could say, confidently doing well in favor of Impulse. They're going to take the Clouddrake as well. That will help the rotation a little bit. But, I mean, overall, the final Tier 1 tower going down. This is only around 19 minutes in and just extremely accelerated early game coming in favor of Impulse. You talked about them. You said this was your favorite to win this certain matchup, and I think I see why. They just seem to have the much cleaner early game coming out. They have much more proactive plays coming through. And when I saw proactive plays trying to be executed for the side of Polar Ace, I think they just didn't have the details really set out for them. They didn't quite dot their I's, cross their T's. You think about that Putney roam towards the bot lane, and they just did not have the vision to facilitate it. So even though the proactivity was there, just not the details.
Yeah, and it's hurting them in the long run. And, you know, your nurse, he did get behind. Bashan really tried to focus him down. But I think with this Akali pick, it makes it so difficult for Bashan and Putney to really focus on that combo because of the Shroud and the amount of dashes that she has to get herself away. So their plan A didn't work, and now their plan B, they didn't have one. So because their plan A didn't work, they didn't have a plan B, they just kind of fell apart, and Impulse is just taking advantage of it. And, Impulse right now is doing what they should be doing, and in this meta and in this season, the early game is key. People don't realize it, but how strong you can get in the early game is what matters, and how much gold you can get. That's the key right there. It's the gold that you can get over your enemy. Because if you can get this gold lead, like you see at the top, that's about a 10k gold lead, just about 9k. Yeah. That's a significant amount of gold, and you've got 3 dragons to your name as well. It almost makes Polar Ace have no chance of coming back, because the only way for them to come back at all is if they're able to get themselves some bounties or get themselves some gold from minion waves in the jungle. And when you have all the lanes being pushed up and Impulse taking away a lot of your gold, it makes it really difficult for you to come back in the game, so your only chance is if Impulse makes a mistake.
Absolutely. That is the playstyle that should be coming out here for the side of Polar Ace. They just need to play patiently. Like we said, they have the better front-to-back team fighting. It's just a matter of are they able to get to that phase of the game where front-to-back team fighting is valuable? Or are Impulse just going to be controlling this Baron, strangling them out of vision, and perhaps finding picks through there? I have to say, though, so I would say Impulse won around 3 to 4 skirmishes handily, right? That does not equate to a 10k gold lead. I would say the 10k gold lead is exactly from how quickly they executed it, how early into the game they executed it. They took 2 towers way before 14 minutes. I believe the last one around that 16 or 17. Here's a pick onto Horizon, just trying to get out, and Nurse in the top lane as well.
Okay, now Horizon gets knocked up and followed up. Jack's going to try to get himself away. And your Nurse doing a 1v1 up in the top lane against Putney now. He does get taken low. Bashan should be able to take him down. And that's 1 kill for each team at the moment. But because Horizon was taken down, allows for Impulse to push up the lane. And because of that pick, you lost your vision control. Horizon right now is the only main source of vision control at the moment because they're so far behind. And when you have that down, you lose complete control of this topside jungle, and it can be really devastating for you. And so now Polar Ace, look at that. He has to use the flag first to make sure that they're not sitting in the brush waiting for him and slowly try to clear this off. And so the picks that Impulse are taking are really smart, and if they are able to get that kind of pick, it just makes it super difficult. So the next pick that I think Impulse needs to look at is if they can find Bashan and somehow pull him to the side of the map where Aatrox is like they are, or even just get a pick onto him and kill him, that would mean Baron.
Right, that would just unlock Baron potential for the side of Impulse. And, I mean, this time, the pick not working out completely in the favor of Impulse. They did trade their mid laner for a support in the end, albeit for some over-ambitious play in the top lane from your Nurse. But either way, just a taste of what's to come, right? It's the vision. Very comfortable to make pick. We will see a little bit more fighting over the vision at the moment. Of course, hitting the bee's nest. Just tapping that Baron so that it gets upset at the enemy team. But overall, we still have Polar Ace in the backseat.
Yeah, and now every single person except for the mid laners have their summoner spells. Putney and your Nurse, you both used it in that 1v1, but and Jack, sorry. And that's one thing to notice is that Jack does have his ultimate, but when it comes to fighting, Jack is so far behind that he needs those summoner spells to fight. And if Impulse just pull the trigger, go for this Baron, and have a fight when Jack and Horizon are there, they shouldn't have a problem with it. Ultimate is going through. The Baron gets taken low. Jarvan's going to go on through, but Bluxy's going to be the one to take it, and now Jarvan's going to get taken down without a problem. Your Nurse is on the opposite side, and in the bot lane, a 1v1 from Active and Rexless, and Putney should be taken down by the Ignite from Hero. Your Nurse taken low. Jack gets a kill for himself. Hook.
Nice.
Ooh, almost lands. Active does stay alive, though. He uses the flash to keep himself, and now Swifty jumping on forward with the dash and gets himself a kill. And now that is 3 members down from Polar Ace, only 1 member from Impulse, and 4 Baron buffs still alive. And now Rexless, because he's so much stronger than Active, should be able to push this out while the rest of his team is on the top side taking control. And it may be an inhibitor, maybe they decide to back off, but they are pretty healthy right now, so there is a chance for them just to take it without a problem.
Right, we'll have to see how the push comes out. I'm not sure if it's going to get contested. We do see Bishan moving towards that back line, towards that Kaisa.
Yeah,
No,
Bashan.
she's not gonna-
Bashan's gonna jump on in with a nice cataclysm. He doesn't have Putney there for the shockwave, but he does get a kill. Swifty now trying to keep himself alive for a little bit longer. Horizon is taken very low. Bluxy uses the axe in the wrong direction, and now Jack trying to run them down. Bluxy uses the Ragnarok, but it is, or not the Ragnarok. That is actually going to be the active item rather than his ultimate. It looked like the Ragnarok, so that's what I thought it was. But then he got hit by the shockwave, and it actually CC'd him, and I was like, okay, so it's not Ragnarok.
Well, 1-for-1 trade overall, and I mean, yes, you do get the consolation prize of that kill onto the Olaf, but first of all, he had no shutdown gold on him to be had, and also you lost your top inhibitor because of it. Still, solid play overall coming out from the side of Impulse. They are going to continue the siege with a bit more than half of the duration on the Baron, I would say, so you could look forward to pushing that mid and the bot lane, and let's talk about that Baron for a second. I mean, the Smite Steal attempt coming out of Bishan, a valiant effort, and that is what you need to do to get back into this game. Just didn't come out the same way. We are still seeing Jack as well on the Xayah, playing relatively well, but the rest of his team is just crawling gold lead, around 14k now for the side of Impulse.
Yeah, now Impulse right now using the Baron to their advantage, keeping the waves pressured up at the very moment, and Polar A should be able to hold off the waves for a little bit longer. But if Impulse decides, you know what, let's put ourselves all together, let's take advantage of it, they should be able to get the turret, and that's what they're pinging out. They're putting 4 members down on the bot side. They have the top lane inhibitor open, and Rexless being put in the mid lane. It's going to be so difficult for Polar Ace to even try to hold anything at this point. Swifty now just taking the turret very low. Bashan may look for an no problem at all. And Bashan may look for an engage, but Hero's actually the one to start it up. Active is going to get locked down, and now it is going on the backline. Bashan with a nice cataclysm onto Swifty, but Swifty is so strong, he stays alive. Hero just get taken down. Oh, Active with the burst of damage onto Swifty. And the double kill.
Whoa.
Wait a minute. Takes him down before he can actually get him.
Oh. All right, still 2 for 2 overall. Perhaps you can stop the Nexus from exploding here if you're on the side of Polar Ace.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty hard for them to, but Swifty staying alive, the Zonya is very well timed by him, and then the rest of his team coming to his aid and able to keep him alive, and it's Active. You saw how much damage Active had, but then, what was that burst? You're an AD carry. What is that burst from Swifty?
Just a bit of a blunder coming out from Active. I think he wanted to get that final hit after the Zonya's, or stopwatch rather, application, but just not quite in time, and did not get that shutdown gold. That would have been 1,000 gold straight into the pocket of Active, but just not quite there. And overall, you could feel the side of Polar Ace definitely on the back foot here. They just have been doing their best efforts, but they lost out very handily in that early game. They've been trying to get back. They just cannot find a way back into this game. And now 3 inhibitors down. Not quite sure what you do from here. You do have to just farm it out. Hopefully, the next Baron does not come for a bit longer, and you can look to still play with your composition. You still have the Jarvan plus Orianna combo. That Cataclysm into the Shockwave can be devastating.
Yeah, and you know
if you play around the cooldowns, especially of Swifty, I think he can make it happen.
Yeah, and you know, one thing we saw in the last fight that really disrupted them was Bluxy going in on the backline. There's your Shockwave already being used. Putney getting taken down very low already. And because the Shockwave is down, you don't have the combo anymore. Impulse realize it, and they're going to take advantage of it and go straight for the Nexus. It does get taken low. Swifty gets knocked up, but Sean is focusing him on down. But the Zonya is back up to keep him alive. Putney gets taken low as well. And Swifty should allow for Impulse to slowly but surely take down the Nexus.
Bluxy just focusing on that Nexus, and that will be game 1. Going in favor of Impulse. They had a very strong early game. Came out swinging both in the bot lane and the top lane. You think about Swifty and Hero. They won that 2v2. On the top lane, Rexall is always keeping Active on the rise down under his tower, getting that plating gold as well. After they managed to break apart both the top and the bot tower, transitioned into that mid, transitioned into the skirmishing team fights, and they always came out ahead, it seemed like.
Yeah, and I just overall in that early stages of the game, Impulse did super well and really showed why they have a chance at being one of the number one teams here, and also why they should be going on to the semis. But we still have game number 2 and game number 3 possibly to happen. But for right now, we're going to set ourselves into an intermission and just make sure to stay watching. We'll be back in just a short moment for game number 2 between Impulse and Polar Ace.
Got nothing to say. Thoughts are gonna play. I don't wanna be another memory. No, I know that it's hard for us both. I know that we want to be told. I'm calling out your name. Will anything change? I'm calling out your name.
All right, there we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Nightfall Champions League. This is game number 2 of Impulse versus Polar Ace. Impulse took a dominating game 1 and now is looking good to try to take themselves into the semifinals. They have to win this game to put themselves in contention either against Recon 5 or LSG. We saw yesterday Fruition took down Cedric Gaming with a nice 2-0. And as soon as this game is over, we will get to know if Recon 5 decides that they want to go against Fruition or if they want to go against the winner of IG or Polar Ace. Switch, what do you think of the last game?
I mean, looked like a pretty linear win. I gotta say, coming out of Impulse, just to look back, they took the towers in lane, took the skirmishes, took the Baron, just ended up taking the win relatively smooth fashion, I would say, overall. And you could even see a bit of feeling out, how far can I push this game? How far can I play up from the side of Impulse? It just looked like, I would say, outskill play coming out of the side of Impulse, especially in that bot lane.
Yeah, the Swifty and Hero just being a dominating force for them, and you saw how much damage Swifty was doing in the later end of the game. And your nurse had some trouble early on, but that was kind of known that was going to happen because of Bishan and Putney really focusing in on that mid lane and wanting to get Putney ahead. But because your nurse took the hit for his team, they were able to get leads on both sides of the map and then just make it a dominating game 1 for them. So very well done by Impulse. I will have to say, though, I think one thing that really helped IG in this game, or the first game, was their pick and ban phase. That draft that they had was almost perfect, or even perfect, in my opinion.
Yeah, so many power picks coming in favor of them. The Akali, the Aatrox, they got to keep those solo lanes ambiguous as well. You could flex them either into the top of the mid lane. And of course that kill lane in the bot lane. Kai'Sa and Nautilus, you land the hook and so much single target damage comes out for the Kai'Sa. But just more to look forward to in this game 2 pick and ban. We'll have to see what the adaptations are for the side of Polar Ace. And you can see already the Xayah ban, actually, so not wanting to keep it on the table.
Yeah, and Jarvan already be taken away as well. Jhin, okay. One thing that is to note about Jack in the ADC is that he is really good on Jhin. So taking that away from Jack it's gonna hurt Polar Ace's chances, because we haven't really seen too many significant plays from Jack on any other AD carry. When he was given Jhin, it was pretty devastating. So taking that away is going to be a huge hurt for Polar Ace. And I will say Polar Ace has a nice bot lane. The Kai'Sa Morgana duo plus the Sylas, which can be flexed in either top mid. It's a pretty good combo already. So I like the 3 picks from Polar Ace. And Nautilus, once again, somehow still made it through the banning phase and was grabbed by IG on the first one. Aatrox as well. And we saw how strong Aatrox was played by Rexilus up in the top lane. So, once again, okay. We haven't seen Rek'Sai as much because she did get a couple nerfs and hasn't been like the totally dominating force, but she still is a very strong jungler. So, Bluxy picking up the Rek'Sai for himself, and then Kindred as well being banned out.
Again, we're seeing Polar Ace. They want to try their hand at the Kai'Sa. That's why they took the Xayah off of the table. And like you said, the Aatrox and the Rek'Sai secured for the side of Impulse. You're right. I personally think this game is actually affected a lot by the side of the junglers on both teams. You could see Bluxy really having a huge impact, while Bishan, although he was very present on the map, just could not find the right engages or the right ganks as well. I think Polar Ace is just lacking a little bit in their orchestration of ganks, but overall, now Impulse grabbing up that Sivir, a great lane, I would say, into the Kai'Sa. You can absorb a lot of that spell damage that will be coming in, transfer that into mana, and then start shoving back onto the Kai'Sa. And it's going to be a tough lane. I would say to go up against Nautilus is not really doing you any favors. You only have the Boomerang Blade to work with for the side of Sivir in terms of damage early game. So we'll have to see if they can manage to keep up and on par 2v2.
Yeah, and with grabbing Sivir for yourself on Swifty, he's been very good on it. Every single time he plays it, he's very consistent. And one other thing to note is that he's going up against a Morgana. So a Sivir going into a Morgana is so much better for any ADC he could play.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, just having the safety of being able to walk up to Morgana allows you a lot more leg room, I would say, in that lane. It was the Sion, and actually Talia picked up for the side of Polar Ace. You can imagine that going into the jungle, I would go ahead and predict, because Sion in the top lane, Sylas in the mid. I don't typically see Sylas jungle too often, so I would assume Talia jungle, and as a response, it is going to be the LeBlanc. A lot of base damage just coming out for your nurse in the mid lane. Already played a very confident game on the Akali, even though your nurse was quite behind, still did not let up on that aggression and was still going quite deep, whether for better or for worse.
Yeah, and you know, Bashan has played, he's probably the only person at this moment in the Champions League who has played the Talia in the jungle, and it's just one of his pocket picks. You have players who can play champions in different roles, and Bashan decided to pick up Talia when Talia was very strong in the jungle and just liked it. So now Bashan has been so confident with it and is able to play it even when she's not the most meta pick in the jungle and be a pretty devastating force with it. So having Bashan on this Talia on one of his comfort picks should help him out a lot, but you know, going up against Bluxy on the Rek'Sai is going to be really difficult. If Bluxy can take advantage of the fact that the early stages of the game is going to be really difficult for Bishan,
yeah,
IG will have a better chance.
At the very least, though, I do love to see, I would say, some simplicity coming out from Polar Ace. Putting your jungler on comfort is exactly what you want for him to have a bigger impact in this early game, as opposed to that last game where we saw Bishan hovering around lanes, just could not pull off quite enough ganks. And I think Talia is doing you a lot of favors here. You look at every single lane for the side of Polar Ace, and I think they have fantastic setup for you to land that seismic shove into the unraveled earth. You look at the bot lane, they have that dark binding. You look at the mid lane, they have Sylas with the abscond and apprehend. In the top lane, of course, Sion with that devastating smash. All setups that will help Talia land that seismic shove, and that brings a mountain of damage come. So simpler ganks, I would say, than the Jarvan last game. So you still have a good amount that you can get to in the mid and early game, I would say, coming out here for Polar Ace.
Yeah, and you know, I'm looking at these team comps, and I'm liking the way Polar Ace is looking, just like you said, with the comfort pick in the jungle, Talia on Bishan, and then I personally just like when you have a hook champion like Nautilus, Thresh, Morgana is such a good pick into that, and you know, with Polar Ace grabbing themselves the Kai'Sa Morgana bot lane duo against a Sivir Nautilus, it's definitely going to be a lot stronger for them, and you know, with the way Bashan plays this jungle, he plays it at actually a pretty aggressive ganking style, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Bashan really focusing down that bot lane this game, instead of like trying to get the mid lane ahead and then make a play towards bot lane, just make a play towards bot immediately.
Yeah, in general, I think last game I would have loved to see Bishan hovering more towards that bot lane. I think that was where a lot of the problem was. Unfortunately, we had to mention it, Hero and Shrifty putting on a great performance 2v2, and now it looks like a lot of their pressure is going to be absorbed. Like you mentioned, the Morgana gonna make sure not too much aggression can come out for the side of Impulse in that bot lane, and I think the pressure is off for you if you are Jack and Horizon. You don't have to dominate this lane. It's not like the other side of the matchup or anything like that. Both Kai'Sa and Sivir feel quite fine into the game, and I think you both have your power points to look forward to past 2 or 3 items.
Yeah, and now the mid lane matchup, LeBlanc versus Sylas, and you know, LeBlanc does fairly well into Sylas, and Sylas, if he takes the Aftershock, if he lands the chain for himself, he does get a fair amount of like tankiness to him. He can take a lot of damage from LeBlanc, but one thing to note is that it's very difficult to lock down onto a LeBlanc if they know what they're doing. Your nurse is very good at LeBlanc and shown many times before that he's able to pull it off well. And with your nurse playing on the LeBlanc against a Sylas, I think it's definitely going to be a benefit for IG here in the early stages. Silas does have more damage early on against a LeBlanc, but as soon as she gets that Luden's Echo, it's going to be difficult for Silas to do much.
I would say so. And while we were talking about, what great adaptations we saw from Polar Ace, let's talk about what could go wrong, because I don't think this was a bad draft by any means for the side of Impulse. They came out strong in the early game 1. I think they're going to come out strong here as well. You have been constantly pushing bot lane in the form of the Sivir that has many opportunities to gain her mana back from both the Morgana and the Kai'Sa. You've got mid that comes with a huge amount of base damages, LeBlanc, as well as some safety. Because I thought that was one of the things that perhaps your nurse was lacking. It was an escape sometimes because he just went a little bit too deep. LeBlanc, though, built-in escape whenever she goes in, so at least you have that to look forward to, as well as, one of the premier meta junglers in the form of Rek'Sai, who has sick ganks as well as plays almost like an assassin if you're able to get ahead. We saw a game from Clid in MSI where he absolutely popped the hell off, put the game on his back. That is possible if you play Rek'Sai. You could just hop into that backline, delete a carry, and perhaps if you have a stopwatch or a Guardian Angel, if you're that far ahead, it becomes so hard to play against.
Yeah, that kind of devastating lead that Bluck is able to use with the Guardian Angel, with the stopwatch, and the amount of damage. Like you said, Bluxy will probably take Conquer this game, and when he has a little bit of a lead, he can one-shot people. Like, Rek'Sai is so strong when she gets even just a little bit of a lead that it makes it so difficult for the opposing side to do anything. And, if Bashan gets behind on Talia, there's not much of an opportunity for Talia to come back until later, like a later end of the game. And Rek'Sai, even if she does die once or twice, she still has an opportunity to be somewhat helpful in that mid game.
Yeah, you can, if you are behind as Rek'Sai, just look towards trading yourself for a carry, and that sort of equates to a win in your eyes. Trading jungler for carry is a win, I would say, and especially when you look at the lineup as a whole. I think a bulk of Polar Ace's damage does come out of that Kai'Sa. But last lane we didn't touch on, it's the top lane, and I think that's the only lane you don't have to worry about if you are Polar Ace. Well, last game we did see, I believe, Juju... I believe Juju on the rise. This time, you don't even have to worry about him potentially getting dove or getting shoved in too hard. Sion has more than enough wave clear to handle that. It still is the Aatrox that did come out, taking a lot of turret place. I don't think we'll see as dominant of a performance coming out of Rexalis this game.
Yeah, he's going to have to play it a little bit slower. As you said, Juju has a fair amount of wave control to his on Sion rather than the Rise. And in the early stage of the game, Rise did put a lot of pressure onto Rexalis, but it didn't seem like it helped them too much in the end. And I feel like the Sion will be a lot better for Polar Ace here.
Oh yeah, you definitely have a completely different role once you get to that mid game rather than the Rise, who still wants to keep up pressure in lane. I think for the Sion, you just hit that ultimate, you try and pin down some major backline targets in the shape of a LeBlanc or a Sivir. And I think you can run away with the team fight from there. You have more than enough follow up for to be able to take control of a skirmish. Again, the Kai'Sa with the killer instinct. We also have the Apprehend and Abscond coming out from the sides, as well as that Weaver's Wall that we didn't talk too much about, but I'm glad to see in this game. I think Bishan lacked influence in this game, and I think he'll get more than enough chances. Bishan lacked influence in the last game. This game, though, I think he'll get more than enough chances on the Talia pick.
Yeah, and now it did look like Impulse tried to look for something here. They may actually still try to look for something, but the nice deep vision for them so they know what direction that Bashan is going to be taking will be very helpful to them. And then Juju on the other side of the map is just going to trade it off. And, when you look at the wards, the difference between it, Bashan wisely taking it. Bashan knowing that Impulse was going to try to do something, and now they have the advantage. They have the ward on the red buff. They know he's starting there. And I was going to say, if that ward stays there for Impulse... Oh, it does. They actually did get another ward down. So another ward was actually put down in the same spot. So that ward on the Raptors will be more helpful in the end for Impulse than it will be for Polar Ace. Because Polar Ace, they get to know where he starts. But it's going to be kind of difficult to see which direction he really goes because he can kind of trick you on where the ward is. But with that ward on the Raptor pit, it kind of shows you immediately where he's going to be. They know he's not going to start red because he's on the Talia. He's going to have to start blue, and then he's going to make his way on over. And then as soon as they know he's on the bot side of the map, they can make a decision based off of that.
Yeah, 100% agree with you there. And it looks like Rek'Sai going to be going towards the bottom of this map now. We did see a nice trade coming in for the bot lane of Shrifty and Hero. They still have a relatively good lane to work with. Sivir, not the most dominant in lane, but she does manage that lane perfectly, or the wave rather, just shoving it in, especially if she's able to spell shield a lot of hits coming out from the Morgana Kai'Sa duo. I'll have to see how they play it out, though. And again, we got to build it up. It's the Talia pick coming out from Bishan. I'd love to see where exactly he decides to go to first. Like I said, a lot of follow-up CC to work with for his lane, so just have to see where exactly he prioritizes first. But you mentioned it, the bot lane, definitely something that you want to work towards. You don't want to see your bot lane smashed twice.
Yeah, for sure. And now Rexless actually chunking Juju down a little bit. He does get knocked up here, and they're going to have more of a skirmish. Nice damage there from Rexless with the auto following up. And they pinged it earlier from Impulse that there's a possibility of Bashan down in the bot side, but in the mid lane, Bluxy's actually going to go on in. Hero's going to not... Nice dodge there. Has to flash away. However, Jack trying to look for the kill, and he does. First blood over to Jack there. And now a lot of damage to Bashan, but they're not able to follow up with enough. And, you know, it was kind of funny. Impulse, they pinged out that he was possibly going to be down there and then didn't really back off and kind of respect the threat that Bashan could have. And Bluxy tried to look for something in the mid lane and didn't even get a summoner spell out from him.
Yeah, absolutely. Just not enough respect coming out for the side of that Impulse bot lane. And now, hey, the shoe's on the other foot. You have a kill to your name if you are Jack, and perhaps now you can start to take control of this lane. We'll have to see if Bishan decides to keep up that pressure to cover his bot lane so that they can start working towards getting their turret plates down.
Yeah, and that was a nice flash by Jack. He realized how much damage he can do, and with the Ignite burning from Horizon, he realized he could finish him off. So being able to pick up the first blood for your AD carry is going to be a lot. He already, on the first back at 4 minutes, gets a pickaxe, which is pretty big for Jack. And, you know, I am seeing a new build with the Man Immune being pulled up.
Glad you mentioned it. Yep.
Yeah,
I was going to mention it.
Oh, okay. But in the mid lane, your Nurse with the chain there onto Putney. He doesn't have the dash anymore. Bluxy making his way over. But he is going to back off. Putney was too far over. But, yeah, tell us a little bit about the new build from from Kai'Sa.
Absolutely, yeah. So this new build actually allowing you to get that Q upgrade. As I say, that Juju getting super low.
Oh, Juju has to flash away, and Rexless won't be able to get that kill, but it does push Juju away and will burn both of his summoner spells because I believe Juju should have to use his teleport, and Horizon almost lands a nice bind under your Nurse, but he does get himself away. And, you know, I'm remembering now one of the games from your Nurse. He was very devastating on that LeBlanc. He got himself a little bit of a lead and then just started to roll over the enemy. Your Nurse jumping on forward and dealing the damage to Putney. And very surprising that Putney decided to stay that long.
Yeah, just playing on a nice edge there. Almost got punished for it. That would have been embarrassing right in front of your support as well, but able to make it out alive. But still, I mean, I do think that the LeBlanc pick absolutely embodies your Nurse's playstyle. It seems like he always wants to put down the aggression, always wants to go in, and LeBlanc does give you a certain amount of innate safety to work with. Now, talking about this top lane, though, I didn't expect to see Juju so far back. Did expend his TP, and I think that was necessary as well. You have to try and secure as many items as you can before you get put on the back foot, because after that, you're just not going to be getting any more CS after that. So,
oh, okay, now in the bot lane, Swifty is the focus, but they haven't used the bind yet. He's going to have to flash away. Hero is locked down for a little bit longer, taking a lot of damage, and now he's going to use the hook to get Horizon under the turret, but the heal will keep him alive, and that's 2 kills for the bot lane from Polar Ace. And now your Nurse and Putney putting some damage on each other back and forth, but getting 2 kills now on to Jack should get him just one step closer to that Man Immune, and will be pretty hard. Bluxy now going on in. Jack is the focus. He does get himself stuck under the turret, and that's going to be a bounty for him. And the flash on forward gets himself a double kill. Bluxy's going to be taken down, But that is 2 kills to the jungler for Impulse, and that is going to be huge because he got himself a bounty, and he got, I believe, 2 bounties, actually.
Yeah, it's just an unexpected double kill coming out from Bluxy. A nice gank overall. And I was going to say, very intelligent play coming out from the bot lane to Polar Ace, playing this 2v2 absolutely fantastically. They did also get that lane gank from Bishan, and that is allowing them to cement their lead for the most part, I would say. Although Bluxy did get 2 kills, that bot lane still 0-2.
Yeah, and Mountain Dragon is up, and because they have such a strong lead with Jack and Horizon, they could possibly look for it. But now Putney in the mid lane going on to your Nurse. Your Nurse is going to jump on back. Chain is going to miss, but the nice chain Q follow-up, and your Nurse should be taken down here, and Putney will get a solo kill. But now Rexless and Bluxy are there to help out his teammate with a teleport. He does get knocked up, but Rexless has a reset on his ultimate. Bashan doesn't have his flash. They may look for another play here. Bluxy is and he does have the ultimate. He lands it, and Bluxy takes his second kill. Oh, okay, wait a minute. Juju on the other side. Bluxy now trying to run away and stay alive. The plant was used, and now Juju is there to try to help him out. Knockup should be going down. Horizon should take the kill. And that is 5 kills to 4 now. And, very interesting way or direction to go, but he didn't realize where Juju was. Popped over with the plant and got himself a kill.
Yeah, nice collapse, I would have to say, coming out from Polar Ace. At least they come out with the even 2-for-2 trade, but all off the back of Putney. He's playing actually great for what I saw earlier in the laning phase. I thought he was a bit on the back foot, thought he would eventually get chipped down lane, but still landing crucial spells. He knows how to play this LeBlanc 1v1 as well, waiting for that cooldown.
Oh, there it is, the chain on forward with the distortion. Gets him down to about half HP, not too bad for him. And with the pressure that bot lane has for Polar Ace, they should be able to take control of this dragon pretty soon. But Sean clearing out his top side, so then when they want to take it, they can actually go for this dragon. And Bluxy is trying to do the same thing as well. Clear out his top side so then he can prioritize the bottom side of the map, as the dragon will be up for some time now. And right now, Polar Ace needs to just keep that wave pressured.
I'd say so, yeah. Just make sure that you're keeping your lanes pressured, that you can rotate easily, because you cannot give up too much vision control here. You need to make sure that you always have that vision advantage and that you can find picks if a couple of members of Impulse overextend. But overall, we're seeing very different play coming out this game. I think actually strong lanes coming out for the side of Polar Ace, especially when we talk about that bot lane. But let's not forget Putney, the only lane that didn't lose last game for the side of Polar Ace, is putting on a nice solid performance again this game.
Yeah, and now because Swifty has the wave clear, they're just going to keep the wave pressured because they know they need this dragon. Bluxy is in the river, but Sean's going to use the Weaver's Wall to block Swifty in. He doesn't have the flash, but they can't see him just yet. Swifty should be taken down without a problem. Horizon picks up the kill, and because he did get taken down, that should mean Polar Ace has a mountain.
Yeah, there you go. You maintain your vision control. You snuff out the gank coming in here, and you're able to transition that either into the bot lane tower, but also a dragon is on the table as well. We did see your Nurse rotating towards that bot lane, so I think that's just going to mean a little bit of damage gained in the mid lane for the side of Putney. We'll have to see where they go from there.
Yeah, Bluxy on the other side of the wall as well in the bot side
this
here.
Looks familiar, yeah. Bluxy waiting. He's poised.
He does have it. Oh, Juju's actually going to go on in to Rexless and try to look for something. Oh, Rexless didn't get the combo right, and Juju will be able to get a solo kill.
Are you kidding? Juju, 200 IQ. Definitely wasn't Rexalis' mistake there. Unfortunately, a blunder coming out from Rexalis. Flashed in. It looked like the last Q just didn't transition through the flash, but either way, Juju happily going to take that kill for himself. I could say, no longer on the back foot, I guess. He's going to have a nice chunk of gold to himself, and still seeing some decent control over the... Oh, nice collapse!
Goodbye, Bashan. Your Nurse and Bluxy will take him down and just take control of his jungle. And with Bluxy getting ahead, he needs to start using that to his advantage and getting his laners ahead. And that's what he's trying to do. He tried to give it to your Nurse, but I don't think your Nurse had the damage taken down, and Bluxy just takes the kill for himself. But because they took down Bashan now, Bluxy is so strong, that means that Impulse still has a contention for this dragon.
Yeah, definitely. They do still have a possibility to take this dragon. I think just the fact that you want to deny it away from the side of Polar Ace. Nice route.
Oh, Bluxy
Ooh,
take it
nice.
low, and Jack will take him down, and I believe that was a bounty for him.
Feeling like a Jin main over there. That nice W snipe coming out. That's going to earn Jack another kill. 3, 1, and 2. Having himself a game. Juju.
Yeah,
Got out, but he has his team around with him, so looks like just a backup of Rexalis. But I mean, let's talk about that collapse, or rather that invade coming out from the side of Impulse. So smart because both LeBlanc and Rek'Sai,
Yeah, Putney
both
realized.
LeBlanc and Rek'Sai able to go through walls, but this game's still very close, and both teams trying to dominate this early game.
Yeah, Polar Ace is playing this early game a lot better, and there's a couple mistakes that you've seen from Impulse already.
Yeah.
You saw Rexless get taken down on the 1v1 under the turret, and then also Bashan making plays on the bot side, and Swifty and Hero not realizing. They did ping it out. That's the thing. They called it. They're like, he's probably going to be there. We
Yeah.
should need to be careful about it. And they didn't listen to their own pings. They got taken down by it, and it's really hurting them in this game. 3-1-2 on Jack right now with not a big CS lead. Swifty keeping up the CS quite well, but that's still a significant amount of gold that Jack has over Swifty right now, and he is able to get the man immune.
Yeah, and I would say the biggest thing working in your favor if you are Jack, not only the fact that you're ahead, but you have a very quick power spike to work with. That Mana Moon into the Rage Blade. It's just going to provide you with so much damage. I've seen people go either AD or AP after it. It's completely up to you. Both builds do work a treat. But I would say that AP build, especially bringing a Lost Sting, it looks like the Mountain Drake actually just started and given over for the side of Impulse. Now, of course, we can't forget, though, the Rift Herald, it was secured by Bishan, so a lot of gold to look forward to. If they can put it down, it looks like it's going to be post 14 minutes, but still, if you're able to take down a tower, that is going to work wonders for your gold.
Yeah, your nurse now on the bottom side. Oh, almost
Whoa.
destroying Jack. And they want to look for the Herald down here. There's only 2 plates left. Bind is going to land. Your nurse is the focus, and your nurse should be taken down with the follow-up from Bashan.
What a snipe coming out from Horizon, and that's going to mean a devastating push coming out here. There's a tower, but there's Bluxy.
Okay, Jack getting taken down by Bluxy. Horizon is the focus. Now, actually, Bashan getting taken low as well. You got both members taken very low. That's a double kill for the jungler for Impulse. Trying to run him down. Hero should almost have his hook, but not in time, which means that Polar Ace, they get the turret, they get themselves a kill, but then Impulse turn around for 2 kills for themselves.
Yeah, and that has been the story of the game. I would say a small slump coming out of Impulse from everyone. But we can't forget Bluxy coming out swinging. Now already 6-3. Did also secure his team the Mountain Drake as well. He has been trying to put on his carry pants this game. We mentioned it before. He's on, I mean, the Rek'Sai carry. It could be coming out. We'll have to see what he builds towards.
Yeah, you mentioned it. You mentioned it in the pick and ban phase, and it can be something that can be really, really strong going up against any team, even if they're ahead. Because you saw how much damage he was doing to Horizon and Bashan, and
Oh, yeah.
you do that same kind of damage. And then also, I would like to note is that when you get to the middle stage of this game and your nurse is able to move around the map a little bit more, you saw the damage that he can put out on the Jack. If he can do that and then have some kind of follow-up from Bluxy or Swifty, they will be able to have no problem taking out that AD carry.
That's right. That Sivir on the hunt, especially, going to be crucial for making sure that the rest of Bluxy's team can follow up with his dives. Some nice damage coming out from Putney. There's the snap back.
Yeah, the focus is that mid lane. They take it down without a problem. That opens up the map so much more for Polar Ace. Bluxy in a really bad spot. Horizon look for something, but he does get himself away just for a little bit longer. But Sean misses the knockup, and Bluxy, all he can do at the moment is try to clear out the wave. Rexless on the opposite side. They may look for an engage. Rexless looking for something. Bind does land onto Hero. Juju was the target, but Rexless in a bad spot. Wall has been used. Almost blocks Reckless back up, but all 5 members are here in the mid lane. All 10 people now are here in the mid lane, possibly looking for a fight. Impulse is pretty low, but if they can take it, or if they can get a hook, they could look for something. But right now, Impulse, they're so far behind that they really just need to hold the waves and allow for their AD carry to get back into this game. Because if you look at it, the team across the Impulse, they don't have too much of a deficit. Like, the bot lane is really hurting. Yes, Jack has a lot of kills and whatnot, but Swifty is farming very well. LeBlanc already has a fair amount of damage. As soon as she gets that Luden's Echo, it's going to be really hard for them to protect Jack at all costs, or they're going to have to. And now Bluxy, since he's already so strong, can look for anything here. Horizon is going to be the focus.
Horizon.
Bluxy now waiting until that shield goes away. Tried to get himself on the outside
Here's
of
Jack.
the route, but he will get taken down because Horizon wisely gets the target on him. And Jack with the 4th kill to his name. There is a teleport coming out. This could be really bad for them. Jack's going to flash on forward.
Wow.
Or Swifty's going to flash, and Jack's going to try to keep himself alive. And now Juju charging on forward,
Jack.
picking up the kill. And Jack stays alive.
Are you kidding me? Jack threw all that staying alive, and rightfully so, trying to press his lead
okay,
to
here
get
in the
3
back.
kills here. Yeah, Rexals.
Oh, and your nurse without a problem. That Luden's Echo will just pop him. And now your nurse trying to go for Horizon does miss the chain. Juju flashes over the wall. Your nurse should have his cooldowns back up in just a moment. Should be able to get himself on over. The bind does land. Your nurse is on Horizon. And Rexless follows up and takes him down.
And we're finally seeing the response coming out of Impulse. They couldn't find their footing in that 3v2, but finally getting the kill onto Jack. Nice tower take from Putney. Is he going to be able to get out?
Yeah, he flashes away. Bluxy with a lot of damage, but he gets taken low. That smite is going to slow him up. Will he be able to get to Putney? Putney walking away, and he does. Oh, wait a minute. Okay. So,
Whoa. Wow, well, what an escape coming out of Putney. Able to take the tower as well. And incrementally, you're seeing Polar Ace still manage to push their lead forward. I want to see them utilize more of this power spike in the form of Jack right now. Looks like Dragon, though. Bit of a mistiming there, and it might just go over to the side of Impulse.
yeah, Impulse right now taking advantage of the fact that all the members of Polar Ace had to back off, or they did
pull
die.
off?
Oh, yeah, and they does look like Impulse is going to have to back away. I think they saw Bashan looking for something, and they thought there was a chance Horizon and Jack were on the opposite side, so they didn't want to take the chances. But top lane turret has been taken down for Impulse, and will open up the top side a little bit more, but they really need to get that mid lane turret if they want to try to get an advantage here in opening up the map. Rex is not dealing too much damage to Juju as he has so much armor, but now he is healing through it and gets Juju down to about 50% HP. And Polar Ace now, because they have the control on the map, they're able to take the second dragon of the game, but the first dragon for their team. And I just realized that the Mountain Dragon is actually going to be huge for an Impulse here. Horizon didn't take too much damage there. Your nurse jumped on over, did a fair amount, but that Black Shield soaked up a lot of damage for him. And could be something here, but now in the mid lane, okay, Bashan going on forward. Swifty is the target. Bashan is going to get knocked up. Swifty nicely done, blocks it away. Bluxy's on the opposite side in case Polar Ace wanted to look for more. Juju is there, but now Bluxy's going to be the target. Putney now on the bottom side. Your nurse, almost with the chain.
So close, but Putney still keeping up the aggression in this 1v1. Looks like the mid lane is split putting now. There's the damage coming out.
Yeah, Putney dealing a lot of damage to your nurse, but your nurse might turn this around. He gets him so low. Will he be able to catch up? Okay, your nurse with the distortion is not able to get Putney. Putney once again gets himself away.
So frustrating. Putney's always just barely getting out by the skin of his teeth, but still applying so much pressure. You could even see a little rotation after the fact from Hero, trying to check out the land, but their way still a lot of pressure in favor for the side of Polar Ace. But like you mentioned it, the Mountain Drake actually going in favor of the side, or rather, the Cloud Drake going in favor of the side of Polar Ace, and they do have to keep up their momentum for the most part. It looks like just around 3 to 2k gold lead for the side of Polar Ace. By no means are they out of the woods.
Yeah, for sure. And this game can go either way. If Polar Ace makes a mistake and Impulse takes advantage of it, it can be pretty devastating. One thing to note, Rexless has teleport, Putney does not. If they try to make a play for something, there's a chance Rexless can make his way over while Putney cannot. And with the 1v1, I think it is definitely going to be favored for Putney, but you got to say Rexless does a fair amount of damage, and now Putney's actually to go on in. He does follow up with a little bit more, but there's the damage. Rexless used the ultimate to get himself something, and now the charge from Juju goes on in and takes him down. And now IG's got to definitely try to look for something here in the mid lane, or Yeah, they have to look for something as they did just lose their top laner to 2 members, and it will be a 3v4. But Sean on the other side almost locks up Biloxi, but not able to there. And now they may look to just take control of this Baron. They definitely cannot take it here. They're too weak if they try to fight that. But taking away the vision and controlling the top side will be a lot better for them. And it's the only thing that they can do.
Right. I think you just said it perfectly. It's the only thing they can do. A consolation prize for losing that pick in the bot lane. And a little damage onto Jack, but we're still going to see the siege coming out into the mid lane.
Yeah, and now Putney looking for Biloxi, but your nurse doesn't have the damage yet to do the one-shot to Jack yet and try to get through that damage. But now flashes on forward to Putney. Hero does get bound up, but Swifty picks up a kill for himself. Now they're all trying to run them down. Biloxi looking for something. He does have the ultimate, but nice 3-man knockup. And Biloxi's going on forward, but Sean will be taken down, and the pushback will keep them alive for a little bit longer, but 2 members already taken down. Your nurse looking for more. Jack is keeping himself alive. Your nurse will use the distortion to get away, but almost gets himself in a really bad spot. But the hook from Hero will get the target focus for Biloxi to pick up another kill. Man. Now Horizon is trying to stay alive for a little bit longer. Zonia has been used. Rexless is locked up. Your nurse on the other side, but Rexless takes him down. And that's 4 members of Polar Ace being taken down. Impulse realized that their only opportunity to go for the Baron is now.
And this was the lead that Polar Ace needed to keep for themselves, but just blunder after blunder. And too much ambitious play coming out from the side of Polar Ace. That is going to lead, inevitably, to the Baron secured for Team Impulse.
Oh, okay.
And there's the dinner bell being rung.
Oh, and the wall is actually going to be placed down. Juju does get a lot of damage onto Hero, and Rex is trying to get himself away, use the movement speed from the godlike ultimate. And now Swifty is being run down. Putney, with a nice dodge there from Swifty, but he's not able to get away from that one. Putney taking a lot of damage from your nurse, and your nurse right now should just try to run away. They have the Baron. They got the advantage. You might as well just try to run away. Stop trying to fight. There's no point in trying to stall it out or anything. Maybe even look for a pick for your own death. You have the Baron buff. Use that to your advantage. You can back up. Yeah, you'll probably lose this top lane turret, but now you could look for plays across the map by pushing these lanes, or maybe even making a play for Dragon.
Exactly, and I think that's why we're just not going to see much of a reaction come out. Sure, we did see the picks coming out from Polar Ace, but they're not going to take much more than that almost dead top tower because of the fact that Baron buff is on the table for the side of Impulse. I mean, had the Baron buff now, they could just wait. Everyone's already back up. They can look forward to sieging, and overall, this was a bit of a lead thrown away for the side of Polar Ace. I think they just need to play a bit more patiently, a bit more reserved, and I mean, we saw in that mid-siege Putney just a little bit too far out. Now this Ocean Drake on the table. Nice binding.
Yeah, Biloxi the focus. Putney trying to get on to him, but Biloxi gets himself away for a little bit longer. Jack now going to go on in, takes down the jungler for Impulse, and they should be able to take the Dragon without a problem. Rexless does have the Baron, so he's going to use it to push out the top lane as the rest of Polar Ace is on the bot side. Juju making his way over to try to defend, but because they were able to take down the jungler, it means a free Dragon for them, and now makes it kind of difficult for Impulse to look for any objectives. Yeah.
Nice distribution of resources. You put Sion into that top lane. Make sure Rexless can't do the split push. Nice damage again coming out, but Jack's here. Oh, and what a quick kill coming out from him.
I'm not sure your nurse knew what he was doing there. He tried to look for something like a pick or maybe a one-shot, but like you and I've been saying, he doesn't have the damage for that because you have to get through Horizon's shield. You have to get through the fact that you won't be able to target Jack for some time because he has the invisibility.
Nice wall.
Yeah, and that wall should allow him to push a little bit.
I guess perhaps you might have wanted a minion wave to go alongside that wall, but either way, we will get the siege coming out eventually. I think Baron still on the table for the side of Impulse, so we not a well-lasted siege coming out from them. But either way, they are still getting minor victories, and they do finally have reclaimed their lead. It is a 2k gold lead for the side of Polar Ace, but it's just not firmly in their grasp, I would say.
Yeah, and one thing that's making it really difficult for Impulse is they don't have this mid and bot lane turret. As soon as they get those down, they will allow for the map to be opened up a little bit more. But until then, all the resources that they have are their side of the jungle and some of the minion waves that come on through before they die. And that's not a lot of gold for 5 members to try to like last on, while the rest of Polar Ace is just taking advantage from every single wave. They even now can push into the enemy jungle and take some of their CS as well, just putting back Impulse even more. So Impulse right now, they really need to get these bot lane and mid lane turret, and because Bluxy got taken down, that means they don't have 5 members to really look for a push on anything. And when you had that Baron up, you really had to play it smart and try to get an advantage off of it.
You did. The Baron ended up just being the gold directly given over from killing that epic monster and nothing more. You didn't see any towers coming in favor of Impulse. If anything, they lost a tower in the top lane, if you recall. And I mean, sure, they did get a bit of a gold swing, but by no means do they have control of the game, I would say. And we're still lacking a lot of presence, I would say, from Swifty, a little bit from your nurse as well. There are a couple slip-ups coming from him as well. And the clean, confident play coming out from them definitely reclaim this game.
Yeah, now Rex was trying to put some damage onto Juju, but not too much damage being taken as Juju is so tanky right now, and Rex is pushing on forward, maybe looking for something. Juju dodging nicely, but now in the mid lane, your nurse jumping on forward, and once again cannot find any source of damage onto Jack at the moment. The Guardian plus the Black Shield makes it so difficult to one-shot Jack if Horizon's around.
Absolutely. I mean, and at this point of the game, 1-3-7 LeBlanc, post 30 minutes, I don't think you're going to be doing too much work now. And I think you really need to put the ball into the court of Swifty, maybe Bluxy as well, and Rexalis to lead that charge for you. Maybe just hang around, play a bit more reserved, and try and find your opening onto Jack. I think that has been one of the bigger problems for the team fight coming in for Impulse. They just have not been able to kill Jack sometimes.
Yeah, and now Impulse right now, they're slowly making their way back into this game, but one thing that I'm really noticing is Bluxy's going to start falling off a little bit. His damage is not going to be as prominent as it was in the early stages. We're getting towards that later end of the game, which means Jack is going to be really strong. Bashan is going to be really strong when it comes to trying to pick somebody, and Juju is so tanky that it's very difficult already to get through him, and the only member that you really have to get through that massive front line is Swifty. So the best play for Impulse right now is they have to look for specific objectives when they come up, or even just try to get one pick and get out somehow.
Yeah, I think the only thing I would be wanting to see from the build of Jack to make sure he stays alive might just be that Zhonya's. AP does work well with Kaisa, and to have that Zhonya's to negate the damage coming out from either Bluxy or your nurse. I mean, that is the playstyle of both LeBlanc and Rek'Sai. They jump into the backline, but after that, it's really anyone's game who comes out alive on that one, right? Your nurse, he can snap back, but sometimes he takes too much damage. Bluxy, it's a one-way trip for him if he decides to take that Void Rush into the enemy team. And nice vision control overall. Gained here from Polar Ace. They need to play smartly around this Baron. I hope they don't throw it away like last time.
Yeah, now Polar Ace may put their attention on this Mountain Drag as Rexless was there. If they do, there's a chance that our Impulse could have gone for this Baron, but they decided to back off and let Swifty get us some items for himself. So that is actually just going to be a free Mountain Drag and the third dragon for Polar Ace, which makes it even more difficult for Impulse to come back. And now because they have the Mountain Drag, you have a lot of damage from Bashan and Jack, or very good consistent damage. That Baron should be no problem for Polar Ace to take down.
Exactly. You can burn it down with the Kaisa damage. And also, you've just evened up that Mountain Drake score, so you don't have to worry too much about getting outsmited now. The cards are definitely in your favor if you are the side of Polar Ace. We'll see how they play this neutral game, how they play the Vision War so far.
Yeah, and one thing that I'm noticing is that Impulse is only down 1k of gold. Not too bad. You would think it'd be a lot more, but with the turrets that Polar Ace has taken, with the fact that there's so many more, or not so many more, but a couple more kills for Polar Ace, and only 1k, or about 2k, 1k, that's not bad.
It's not bad. I think why we're feeling a lot of the respect given over now to Polar Ace is because the outscaling for their side. I mean, LeBlanc, she's starting to fall off. Like you mentioned, Rek'Sai just does not pack that punch that he did in the early mid-game. I think now just going to be trying to create as much attention or disruption as possible. But by no means is he going to be able to hard carry a fight right now. These aren't skirmishes anymore. They're going to be front to back team fights, I would say, coming out. And you have a lot of protection for Jack. I mean, that's the biggest question that I have towards Impulse. How are you going to keep Jack down? Swifty, we haven't heard too much from him so far, but he is silently accruing himself a nice build, coming out with already 3 critical strike items. We'll have to see how much impact he can have in this next team fight.
Yeah, now Putney is the focus. The chain is going to land, but he's going to be able to use the Zonias to get himself
There's the
away.
wall.
Swifty in a really bad spot has to flash over while Juju uses the charge, and the rest of the team possibly looking for a kill. But that means that Swifty doesn't have his flash, and that is going to be devastating if they look for another fight.
That changes the context of the next team fight. Is Swifty going to be able to play forward, play to his max DPS when he has no flash available? I'm not quite sure. I mean, you would have to see some great engage coming out of Rexilus as well as Biluxy to take the pressure off of Swifty. But at the very least, at the moment, you have some map pressure nicely going in the favor of Impulse. We'll see what they can work with.
Oh, here we go. There's a chance they can get onto Jack. Jack's going to be used.
Here we go.
Oh, man, a lot of damage there in the back, but Biluxy's going to take Silas down, and Jack will follow up with something for himself.
Oh,
now
Jack.
the poke is on to Jack. Jack's in the back line here, and he's able to flash away and get the shutdown for himself. Rexless looking for something, but Sean almost gets the knock up there, but the rest of Polar Ace able to slowly but surely clean up that fight.
And what an unfortunate pick for the side of Impulse. I thought they had it going for them. You saw Putney run in with no Zonias, was just blown that earlier skirmish, but just could not find enough damage onto the right targets. Jack, he was dancing all across the map. No smite steal to be had there, so that's Biluxy going down, giving a bit of gold side of Jack of all people. And now, Jack, you can confidently say, putting on such a fabulous performance. In the end, it was the pressure in favor of Polar Ace. I think the fact that Impulse funneled into that one little corridor of the jungle did not do them any favors. We could not see Swifty have any impact, and that does mean the ball now in the court for Polar Ace with that Baron buff.
Yeah, and you know, earlier on we saw Bashan play so well. You give him give him his comfort pick, and then he's able to play super well on it. Allows for Jack and Horizon to advance in the game and snowball their lead. And slowly, like, you look at Bashan's score. Doesn't look the greatest, 347, not too bad, he's doing well. But then you look at Jack and you're like, wow, this guy is doing super well. He's very strong right now. But I will say, Jack is doing very well for himself. But in the early stages, Bashan is the reason.
Yeah, he kept up so much pressure in that bot lane, playing exactly like he should have. And Jack, what a fabulous carry to be playing with as well. Just absolutely, like I said, dancing through that team fight, had the killer instinct, went over the wall, then got to flash out of the range of Rexilus as well as Biluxy, and just absolutely DPS'd from there on. And it's the biggest question that Impulse have had to answer. They haven't come out with the answer yet. Here comes the TP in the top lane.
Yeah, but now on the bot side, Horizon's a focus, and your Nurse trying to get himself away, but Bashan should be able to take him down, and now the rest of Impulse making their way on over. Jack's going to get locked up and shut down, and now Rexless staying alive for a little bit longer, has a lot of healing to his name, and now might be able to get him away. He has so much healing. He might be able to stay alive. He does.
They just can't kill him.
He's staying alive for so long. Impulse is making their way on over, and the healing's still going to go through. Putney gets taken low. He's going to have to use the plant. Putney does dash away. He has the shield, but the rest of Impulse should be able to focus on Jack and take him down. Bashan uses the Weaver's Wall, but gets locked up by Hero, and now he has to use the Zonias. Every member of Polar Ace making their way over, as well as Impulse, and Rex is still chasing Putney down, trying to take his life away, and this is the third time Putney's gotten away.
And if I didn't know any better, I'd think someone just taped a sword to Maokai over there. So much healing coming out of Rexilus, and able to put on the 2v1, comes out ahead, and that's exactly what you want to see. It was a 1-for-1 trade in the end, but I think getting that shutdown onto Jack means a big deal for the side of Impulse.
Yeah, and now that Swifty is getting the items that he needs, he's getting a lot of damage. You saw how much damage he was doing, and this Elder is up. The rest of Polar Ace trying to make their way on over, and
Here we go.
Impulse has to try to look for something as well here. The bind is already gone, so now Swifty's
That's
going to
not
go
there.
on forward. Your Nurse with a lot of damage on the horizon puts him on down. Rexless is already in the back line. Putney takes a lot of damage. He should be able to be taken down, but Rexless has the Guardian Angel, stays alive for a little bit longer. Bashan doing a lot of damage, but now on the back side you have Hero taken down by Jack, and the rest of Impulse is trying to run away. They did take out the front line at the moment, and now Jack trying to burn through the Elder Dragon. They do get the Elder. If they do look for a fight, it'll be a lot of damage for him. Your Nurse shoots up forward to Distortion and takes him down.
Oh, what a crucial kill for your Nurse, and that does put them in the mana advantage. However, Elder Drake did get secured for the side of Polar Ace. Now they just need to live, wait for the rest of their members to come up, and I think they can start to execute a siege. But I mean, you saw in that team fight, like it looked like Impulse were just way too distracted with the Elder Drake, with the other members of Polar Ace, that they just did not put enough attention onto Jack. He got to slowly chip away at that Nautilus, took him out. Your Nurse was having his own bout with Jack. In the end, your Nurse does get the last laugh, but I mean, Elder Drake given over, that is a big win. We'll see what Polar Ace can do with that.
Yeah, and Impulse in that fight, they were looking good. You saw the engage from Rexless and then the follow-up from your Nurse. A lot of damage, and then Jack, slowly kiting himself away, was able to get a couple kills, like you said, tear down the rest of Impulse. But one thing that I think really hurt Polar Ace there was the fact that, yes, Jack was doing a lot of damage to Hero, but because Hero was pulling him away, the rest of Impulse was allowed for Swifty to focus on Juju and take him down. And now in the bot lane here, Putney's in a bad spot. Your Nurse distorts over, not able to follow up with anything more. But I will say, Jack looked good in that fight. That was a lot of damage.
Oh yeah, and I'm still really just missing that Zani's in his build. Other than that, I have no qualms at all. He's DPSing a Storm.
Yeah.
But
now in
Swifty-
the mid lane, Horizon's actually going to get knocked up here, and Swifty's going to flash on forward to see if he can get the damage. He's not able to. Redemption to go forward, and yes, he will. Bind's not going to land. Juju's on the backside here, kiting himself away. Now the Weaver's Wall's going to be used. Jack is the focus. Your Nurse is going to jump in onto Jack. Jack's going to be taken very low, but he is not going to be taken down. Bluxy now trying to get onto something. Putney will take him down, and Rex is now going in for the engage. A 4v1 possibly. Really bad spot for him. Bluxy's on the other side of the wall, and Rex is going for Jack to try to get the reset. Will he be able to? No, Jack gets himself away. Both summoner spells used. Polar Ace, they have 4 members still alive, 3 members of Impulse taken down. They should be able to push this base.
Jack, the escape artist, pulling another Houdini in that team fight, just barely making it out alive. But I think the bigger story was Putney finding his way directly onto Swifty, just absolutely deleted him. And now there's going to be an inhibitor. Will they take more for the side of Polar Ace?
Yeah, and Bluxy's on the backside. They may want to look for Jack here.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the flash, but he's also trying to clear out the way so they don't have it. Your Nurse is the focus. Putney puts it down and takes him with... Oh, what the... There's so much damage because he stole the Nautilus ultimate, and Nautilus ultimate has such good AP ratio, and because he's full AP, it just destroyed him.
Yeah, you cast it. You don't even believe it. It's still well played overall. Polar Ace are pushing their lead.
Oh, Jack's actually going to go on forward. Bluxy taking low. Guardian Angel has been popped. Swifty on the other side. Putney trying to push Swifty away, and that'll be a kill for Bashan, and Polar Ace have the advantage. They just took down the jungler for Impulse, and the Baron is up.
And someone needs to stop Jack for the side of Impulse. He's just absolutely tearing apart the side of Impulse. And another Baron. I didn't even see it was available, but I guess it has been that time. There's been so many skirmishes. But now, in favor of Polar Ace, will they secure it? It looks like it.
Yeah, and they were... Impulse was able to get the bot lane turret, but that mid lane turret is still there. That mid lane turret is still there, and because it is... It's denying Impulse so much right now. They've only gotten 2 turrets this game. It has been 40 minutes, and they have not been able to push anything with a Sivir.
Yeah, and while they had a very mobile skirmishing composition, think about the LeBlanc and the Rek'Sai. We saw that pick onto Bashan before, but they just have not been able to take control fully of that jungle. A lot of that, due to the fact that they haven't taken that mid tower, still have not been able to open up the map. Now... control in favor of Polar Ace. They're 5-man pushing towards this top lane. I'll have to see if the reaction comes out. Minions spawning in both the mid and the bot.
Yeah, now the rest of Polar Race pushing out the top lane. Your Nurse trying to make his way on over. He has to back from that bot lane because it is being pressured. You got two waves with the super minions, and Blux is taking a lot of damage. Jack's going to go on forward and take him down without a problem. That is one member already taken down. Polar Ace should be able to push this one out. They have so much damage. They have a huge advantage. And now they're looking for something. The Weaver Wall has been used, pushes away the rest of the team of Impulse. Rexless is the focus. He doesn't have the GA anymore, and his ultimate won't. Oh, actually, he does have the GA. He got it back, and it won't keep him alive for any longer. Will he actually be able to? Your Nurse does get onto Putney. A lot of damage there. Now the rest of Polar Ace pushing forward onto this turret. The bind does land. Your Nurse will be taken down without a problem. Pop like a zit. Rexless now the target, and the base is open, and Jack has ended the game with 16 kills.
16, 6, and 7. Do not give this guy Kai'Sa a lead. He will absolutely put the game on his back. And what a performance coming out of Polar Ace. The early game, such a stark contrast. They came out with the lead. Sure, they did fumble a bit with that first Baron, but you still got to the same conclusion. They had better scaling, and they played their composition to a T as well. I think every single member did play their part in those team fights. You saw Juju and Putney playing a solid front line. Ace, knowing his place, playing next to Jack, making sure that he had the Black Shield the entire time. And Bichon in that early game set them all up for it as well. We can't forget to say Bichon had such a good impact in that early game. Sat towards that bot lane, sat towards his carry. And Jack was able to thrive because of that.
Yeah, and in the end, they take home the victory 1-1. There's going to be game number 3. Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be an intense game number 3. We got a Silver Scrapes moment because this is the quarterfinals. Whoever wins this next match is going to the semifinals. So the pick and ban phase is going to be key. The game itself, when you get in, is going to be key. So both teams are going to have to put their all into this one. But we're going to have to wait for game number 3 just for about 5 minutes. We're going to go over to intermission to give the teams a chance to talk, converse, give themselves their game plan, and also get themselves some water and a little bit of a break. So stay tuned. We'll be back in just a moment.
No one ever told us where the easy part begins. The story that they sold us keeps us hanging from the end. So we'll keep on starting the fires, thinking we'll smoke out the liars. We don't give up when we're tired. That isn't the way that I'm wired. Someday, we're gonna rule the world. I know. Someday, we're gonna rule the world. Counting down to explosion. I hear the moment approaching. Someday, we're gonna rule the world. Waiting avalanches are the calm before the fall. Lightning when it flashes tells a story of it. So we'll keep on starting the fires, thinking we'll smoke out the liars. We don't give up when we're tired. That isn't the way that I'm wired. We own the future. We own the future. Someday, we're gonna rule the world. I know. Someday, we're gonna rule the world. Counting down to explosion. I hear the moment
I'm not sure why I moved it in that direction, but welcome back, everybody, to the Silver Scrapes moment that you wanted to see in the quarterfinals. It is 1-1. Impulse took game number 1, and Polar Ace took game number 2, and they both had a pretty dominating game for themselves. So hopefully this game will be a little bit closer, more intense, and what we want out of a game 3. Switch, tell me, man, what do you think of the last game? If he's back. I don't think he's back yet. All right, so he's not back yet. We'll get back to him in just a moment. But it does look like we have the pro draft ready in just a quick second. These teams will get themselves started. Now, with the last game that we saw, Bashan had a dominating start. He got the Talia pick, one of his more comfortable picks, and then was able to slowly but surely get Jack and Horizon in a lead that they definitely needed. We saw in the first game Jack and Horizon had a little bit of trouble. There was a lot of pressure from Swifty and Hero. They were able to just dominate the lane. And, you know, if Hero really wants to play that Nautilus again, I think they're going to have to ban away the Morgana, take that away from him, and not allow him to have that as his priority. And just in a moment, we were trying to wait for Switch as he does make his way back into the casting desk. But I'm going to take a look and see what do you guys pick for winning it all. It is a 25-24 vote for Polar Ace, 51% to 49%. So that's pretty close. And, you know, I'm really hoping that this next game is going to be as close as that count is. Because, hey, this would be an intense quarterfinals match. Yesterday, we didn't really get the match that we wanted. We had the 2-0 between Fruition and Cetra, but this time we have the 1-1 and finally get a Silver Scrapes moment in the quarterfinals. Switch, welcome back to the caster desk.
That's right. Sometimes IRL gets the best of you, but this isn't about me. This is about the game. Game 3 coming in here for the side of Polar and Impulse. I mean, they've been going back and forth, and I honestly don't know who's going to take it from here. I mean, we saw on one hand, Polar Ace, they came out with a very decisive victory game 1, right? The early game, it all went according to plan for them. No slip-ups there. But on the other hand, this game 2, it was a scaling composition coming out for the side of Polar Ace, and they came out ahead as well.
Yeah, and just make sure you got the invite for the game.
Yeah, I just messaged you.
Perfect. Yeah, I believe you did get the invite in League. I'm not sure if it actually went through. Yeah, there we go. Okay.
Yep.
Now that we have this, I was just talking about what they should possibly look for banning. And one thing that I was really, had an eye out is Hero likes to play that Nautilus. And what is the counter to it? Morgana. So by Polar Ace taking the Morgana for themselves and having a nice combo with the Kaisa, it was really devastating for them because there wasn't much that they could do to try to lock down Jack or even any of the members from Polar Ace when they got into a teamfight scenario. So taking that away and then grabbing Nautilus for yourself, because you do have first pick. They're going to be on the blue side. Impulse here, I think they can either go for the Rise pick on the blue side or even go for the Nautilus pick. Preferably the Nautilus. The Rise didn't go as well in the first game, but at the same time, you never know. The Rise was on Juju in the first game, so maybe Rexless can do better on it, or even your Nurse may take it in the mid lane.
Yeah, that's very true that you say the Morgana pick, especially that resonates with me. I mean, it looked like Jack worked perfectly when you played around him. You know, they gave him the Kaisa. He had a great early spike. He played around it, but it was all about the conditions met for his situation to happen the way it happened. I mean, you had the Morgana hovering around the entire time against a low. You're negating so much damage over time, right? It may just be a 100 or 200 HP shield that's even been nerfed, I believe, in 9.9. But the fact that you're consistently doing that every single trade or every other trade versus a LeBlanc, that racks up over time. And there was so much missed damage coming out for the side of your nurse, just did not have the impact that he had that game one. And maybe you do just straight up ban that Morgana. It looked like the Morgana worked as well, absorbing that pressure coming out from OG Swifty and Hero. And they got to turn the pressure back around once Jack and Horizon got the resources that they needed. So I think for sure that Morgana, something needs to change in that bot lane. And your nurse as well, he needs to find a pick in the game that he can thrive on, because I think the aggression coming out of him, it's either he makes it work or he just falls flat on his face. Like, it's very hit or miss, I would say, or rather sink or swim, I would say, coming out of him. You want to make sure that he has the best game possible, and that might just be by shutting down Jack in the bot lane.
Yeah, and we saw how dominating Bluxy can be on the Rek'Sai, so I wouldn't be surprised to see if Polar Ace try to take that away from him.
Yeah.
And because of how far behind your nurse got in both games, and got to give it to Putney. I don't believe I've seen him before. I usually have Hey There Losers, so I got to give it to Putney. He's really standing up for his team and being able just to dominate that mid lane. And he does have help from Bashan, but in the first game he had a lot of help. But in the second game, he didn't have much help at all. Bashan was so focused on the bot lane that Putney didn't get the help that he had in the first game, and he didn't need it. You saw how strong he was against your nurse, and so, like you said, your nurse needs to go to something that he's more comfortable on and really play to his strength.
Absolutely. It definitely was the mid and the top for the side of Polar Ace, absorbing the pressure coming out. Rexilus, he was once again on that Aatrox, not the same, I have to say. Could not get that tower plating down most of the time, could not get those solo kills in his favor, and in the end, he came into that mid game as an Aatrox that just could not find his footing in team fights. And that's the thing about this new Aatrox rework. You either get kills and you flourish, or you don't, you fall flat on your face, and you just have close to no impact. At the very least, though, we did get to see that nice 1v2 play coming out of him, doing his best Maokai cosplay. But yeah, I mean, in team fights, it was a completely different story.
Yeah, and I just looked in the chat. Thank you, Patty's Wagon, for notifying me of this. Hey There Losers is actually Putney. He changed his name. So Hey There Losers, or Putney, has been dominating. So it's actually not a sub. I didn't know that. I didn't know about the name change, but thank you, Patty's, for telling me and informing me of that. And that makes sense. Hey There Losers is a really strong mid laner and a very good player, and now knowing that that's actually him, so well done, Putney.
I like this old name better. Come on. They're losers. It's a goodie right there. Come on. Oh, also, if you could toss me the pro draft.
Yeah. I'll get that over to you.
Either way. Let me take a look. See? It's like the draft is going to get underway very quickly on, but I mean, we outlined it for you guys in the audience. It definitely is, I would say, it's going to have to be another strong performance coming out of Jack. Yes, he performs well with resources. Let's see how he performs when perhaps he receives more pressure in the pick and ban phase.
Well, I guess I was given the wrong pro draft, so here's actually the real one, and it looks like they're almost actually done with the pro draft.
Ah, nice prank, my guy.
Yeah, I got pranked here, all right? So it doesn't look like we get too much of a pro draft. We kind of talked through it already. Yeah. But, hey, you know what? It works out for us. So here you go, everybody. Here's the almost finalized pick and ban phase. That's a little oops on my part. They put the pick and ban phase in the chat, and I thought that's what it was. But hey, anyways, looking at the team compositions, Polar Ace and IG, looking pretty good. Polar Ace actually grabbing the Zac for themselves. And, you know, something that I really am noticing.
Oh, man.
Jack is going to be on the Kog'Maw, baby.
What are you noticing again, Zonite? I'm curious.
I was just saying, I'm noticing that the Kog'Maw is being picked up. Okay?
There you go. You got to the right answer.
The
It's
Kog'Maw.
the Kog'Maw. Absolutely. And on who else but Jack had himself a performance on that high attack speed 80k. This game, however, on that Kog'Maw, not as much mobility, but still has the resources definitely in his favor. You have the Zac backing you up, has menacing lane ganks, can use that elastic slingshot from the Fog of War, or even his, I would say, his brush ganks coming into your lane is just as big, has a huge impact. And the Lulu, obviously, right beside him. No longer that Morgana. Looks like it was actually first banned from the side of Impulse, so nice strat coming out from them. But, I mean, Lulu Kog'Maw, you really need to take care of this problem before it starts to take over the game.
Yeah, and you know, one thing that is for certain, Bashan is getting his comfort picks. The man likes to play Talia, Zac, and Sejuani, and whenever he gets it, he's a dominating force. And the first game, he didn't really get it. He kind of played something different. And then second game, you saw how strong he was on the Talia. And this game, he gets one of his primary picks, like of all time, which is Zac. And that can be huge for them because the amount of pressure that he's able to put on the bot lane with a Kog'Maw Lulu and the amount of CC that he has. And he doesn't have to worry about Putney or Juju because they are sitting on Vladimir and Sion, two champions who can sustain in the lane very well. And, you know, their lane opponents aren't going to be too much of a threat. Sion will have a little trouble with the Aurelia, but in the mid lane, Vladimir's going up against the Cassiopeia, and she's focusing on that mid game, not that early game. So Bashan doesn't even have to focus the mid lane.
I would say so. Some fantastic solo lanes for Polar Ace, not only to absorb the pressure, but I think especially when you come into those mid to late game team fights, they are going to attract so much attention. Are you kidding me? Sion coming in. We saw a nice game from Juju, hoping to have another one this time, but as well as the Vladimir just melting the bulk of Impulse will be absolutely crucial to setting up the team fight for your Kog'Maw. It's all about the setup after all. You have the engage from the Zac, the Sion, you got the Vladimir disruption. It's all to make sure that no eyes are on the Kog'Maw. The puppy, you had to protect it and let it carry your team. Now, on the other side of Impulse, however, I think it's the same story that they've been going to pretty much this entire series. It looks like it's a strong amount of early pressure, and we have to make sure that they do not run away with the game like they did game one, right? And Elise, he did not find quite the same impact on that Rek'Sai game 2, but now the Elise, it's all about that early game.
Yeah, and both sides here really looking to put their all into this game because this is it. If you lose this game, you're out of the Nightfall Champions League. You're gone. We already have 3 teams gone already. You have Cetra Gaming, who got taken down by Fruition, and Essentia and Schism Esports, who didn't even make it to the playoffs. So will Polar Ace be joining those 4 teams, or will IG be joining them? And who's going to join the 3 teams that are already moving on forward, Recon 5, LSG, and Fruition?
Yeah, that is the question. Very high stakes, but I have faith, especially in Jack, on this Kog'Maw. I mean, when the cards were stacked against him, you said it, you felt like Impulse were the favorites, but that game 2 performance coming out from Jack, he just did not disappoint in really almost any team fights, I would say. I think there was one blunder. It was around a dragon, but other than that, pretty much every single team fight, we built him up and he absolutely delivered, giving solid performances every time, DPSing as much as he possibly could. And I mean, we're going to have to look forward to seeing that again and again. The storyline is, I think, similar to that game 2 for the side of Impulse. They have to take care of this threat in the form of the Kog'Maw. They need to really make some proactive plays. We saw it in game 1. They actually pulled off a relatively good dive in that bot lane, utilizing a TP from their top laner as well. And I think we need to see a similar play style here, really putting all their resources, because Polar Ace is going to be playing around their bot lane already, right? So you had to not only match them, but beat them out in the early game.
Yeah, and with the way Impulse has their lineup, the Elise can actually play pretty well early on, especially against the Zac. So they know where Polar Ace is most likely going to play. They don't really want to have Sion get ahead. Like, there's not really a point. Sion can just sustain in the lane and have and kind of push Aurelia back and just hold her up there. Well, Vladimir, he could help out and get ahead. It's going to be a little bit more difficult because the Cassiopeia has the cleanse. But the bot lane, Ezreal not having heal and having only the teleport makes him the main focus. So then Bluxy can decide, you know what, let's look at the bot lane, let's focus on down and try to counter gank the Zac. And Elise has a fair amount of damage early on and could deal a lot against a Kog'Maw.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If she finds herself on top of the Kog'Maw, you have that nice execute damage to work with in that spider form. And it really all comes down to the fact that I think Impulse has an insane 2 to 3 item power spike. When you compare it to the Kog'Maw and the Vladimir, I would say, who have to take a little time to get rolling. That Sion and Zac as well, not really their final form at 2 items, and they really want to start building that tank, those tank items first before they can comfortably frontline. But you have an insane power spike that you need to play towards if you're Impulse. And so hopefully you're getting that control out of the Elise. You're getting the lane priority from the Irelia, the Cassiopeia, the Ezreal as well. I think going to be comfortably shoving out the Kog'Maw. And you just have to play it from there, right? The ball is completely in the court of Impulse in the early game. I think they need to come out with the right answers and make sure that Polar Ace do not reach that mid to late game.
Yeah, and one thing that I just kind of noticed is that the Alistar pick I really like, and here is why. When you have a Zac against you, that Alistar is able to cancel out the Zac jump, and he's also so tanky that when he becomes that front line, if Zac decides to pull him into his team, it actually could be harming his team because of the amount of CC that he can put to the enemy backline. And so Alistar is a really good pick into Zac to cancel out Zac's combos and not allow him to get on top of Ezreal. So that's what I like from IG's bot lane, is that Alistar pick. I get the Ezreal that you kind of want to get away, but I feel like IG really needs more consistent damage when you're going to go later in the game when you have a Sion, Zac, and Vladimir to get through.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you there. And I mean, hey, we talked about the dives in the bot lane that was pulled off game 1 rather. Alistar facilitates a dive marvelously, popping that Unbreakable Will, and that lets you tank up the tower so long. Overall, I think every single pick on the side of Impulse lets you do what you want. My only question actually is the Cassiopeia. I think in this particular composition, I think Cassiopeia sort of gets run over before she really gets her footing in team fights and skirmishes. She's got no hard escape. She only has that movement speed to work with. And when you're playing against a Sion, Zac, Vladimir, I think you're just a rare... we'll have to see if your nurse can play as reserved, and as she can, so that she can sort of find her way into team fights, make sure she saves some of those crucial cooldowns, like the Petrifying Gaze, for taking care of Jack on the Kog'Maw.
Yeah, and with the way the last 2 games have played out, game number 1 going over to Impulse, and it was really dominating lead for them, and then game number 2, you saw how dominant Bashan was with Jack in the bot lane, and then Horizon just protecting his AD carry. It basically made him unstoppable. So if Polar Ace can do what they did game 2 and get Jack ahead, should have no problem defeating Impulse because of the lack of damage from their AD carry, in my opinion. But if Impulse can get any kind of lead onto Cassiopeia, Ezreal, or even the Irelia up in the top lane, it can be pretty dangerous for Polar Ace.
You can, yeah. You do have access to the... You are the Aurelia, the Elise, and the Alistar as well. Like you said, the ultimate from the Zac, it could work against you because that's exactly what you want as Alistar. You want to sit on top of that AD carry. You have to build up that stun before you can apply it with your auto attack. But, I mean, Kog'Maw, no hard escapes there. And running only 1 flash at that. So, I mean, it's going to be a meaningful cooldown to play around if you are the side of Impulse. I just hope that they keep track of it properly. They have successful synchronized engages onto the backline, and they find their way onto Jack.
Yeah, and now both sides kind of just setting up, and a very early ward there from Zach to see if the enemy was deciding to walk on forward. And, on very...
Oh, gosh. This cowbell.
Do we have to move over to the cowbell? We got to see it. Oh, there it is.
Absolutely beautiful.
Let's get the sound there. Let's get the. Oh, wait, no, we'll go back to my boy. Oh, Alistar, no! Oh, Hero, come on, give it to us. Come on. Oh, okay, that's a little loud.
The Darude cowbell storm. Yeah, that's my jam right there.
I thought Hero was gonna do it for a little bit longer. I zoomed in, turned up the volume, but guess he wasn't going to in this game.
Already a little disappointed coming out from Impulse, I gotta say. Big misplay.
Man, come on. You didn't give us what we wanted. All right, well, looking at the vision, you saw that that Impulse was able to get some deep vision on the top side, and so Bashan knows it, so he's going to walk up to his Krugs rather than going down to his Raptors, making it known to Impulse where he's possibly going to be going. But because he went to the Krugs, he's able to walk around, so it means that Rexless has to be a little bit more safe rather than playing forward, because he doesn't know, is he going to go for a gank top lane or is he going to make his way down?
No wards put down for this top side of Impulse as well. I'll have to see if they can manage to sniff it out. In case an early gank comes out, both Scuttles going to be spawning in their respective locations at around 3 minutes and 15 in. So we might see the junglers clash towards there, but looks like Bishan might outside. We'll have to see how it goes.
Yeah, and now Alistar walking up in the river, getting some vision for his team, and he actually might look for something here in the mid lane, but I'd be surprised if he does. He did get spotted out by a ward, and Putney as well has a way to escape. And now that they saw Hero in the mid lane, Horizon and Jack can be a little bit more aggressive and try to push Swifty away from the CS. And Swifty does have more CS than Jack at the moment, but that's kind of known right now because Kog'Maw doesn't have the greatest early game. Swifty can keep up the pressure, and it's going to be very difficult. But, Bluxia as well, looking for something here on the top side maybe.
Yeah, not sure about that gank. If anything, maybe just making sure that Rexalis can keep up the pressure, shove in that wave, and not get ganked. So maybe it's just a potential counter gank. That's a lot of tire hits you're taking there, Rexalis.
Yeah, he had a fair amount of health over Juju there and took a lot of damage from it, and not too good for him. But Sean smites away the blue buff so that Impulse don't walk over and steal it from him. But, Impulse, they realize the threat that Jack and Horizon have, so they're really trying to push up into the enemy jungle to get vision, because if they can keep the vision control and know where Bashan is, that's when they can decide where they want to play. But Jack is now pushing forward, dealing a lot of damage. Swifty taking some for himself as well. And Hero and Swifty taking down about 50. But, nice healing there from Hero's passive. Should keep him alive for a little bit longer. Oh, and here's the gank that we talked about. Bashan walking down once again. Bluxy is there. Bluxy was spotted out, but now the nice blast there from Alistar with the pulverize. Bashan in the brush going on to Swifty. Jack is the target. He's going to use the healer table alive. Teleports coming through from the Vladimir. Swifty taken low. Will he get taken down? Yes, he will. The first blood will go over to Bashan. Hero now is going to be the next target. Putney gets the kill for himself, and Bluxy's going to have to run away as Polar Ace pick up 2 kills.
And it's an absolute win for the side of Polar Ace. Bluxy just could not find himself onto Jack. They dove a little bit too far, could not find any kills on anyone. So, sick 2-0 lead, and obviously a very prompt and intelligent teleport coming out from Putney to make sure that his team can secure that skirmish victory, and didn't even lose too much CCS for himself now. Oh, nice cocoon, but not going to mean too much, and that's exactly what you want to see if you are the side of Polar Ace, making sure that the gold stays on your side. You don't want to get run over in this early game by this side of Impulse.
Yeah, and one thing that was really wise by Polar Ace, they had Bashan stay in the brush for a little bit, wait it out, and have Bluxy get baited in. Bluxy was spotted out, and they knew he was there, so they waited for him to kind of make his way. They made the call. They said, Putney, you need to teleport in. We can make a play. Bashan waited in the brush, and they nicely were able to turn it around in there for them and gain the 2 kills. Now, with these 2 kills, what I want to see from Polar Ace is focus this dragon. The Infernal Dragon is your first dragon, and that's going to be pretty big for them. that Infernal Dragon early on will allow for lanes to put the pressure. And with Putney on the Vladimir, he doesn't have too much damage against your Nurse right now. But if he gets himself an Infernal Drake, it definitely makes him more of a threat. And also Juju against Rexless on that Aurelia. If you got a tank that has Infernal Drag, that's a lot, and especially a Scion.
Absolutely. Scion with a lot of base damages, but you're completely right. And securing this Infernal Drake is absolutely paramount for the side of Polar Ace. They need to make sure that even if they do end up losing this early game, they still have this superior scaling, and the Infernal Drake is going to secure you that.
Yeah, now Infernal Drake is going to be looked by Impulse right now. They're trying to get some vision for it. But Sean is down here on the bot side while Bluxy's on the top. And if Alistar and Ezreal decide to back off here, they could possibly look to make a play for this Infernal. But they need the bot lane pressured. It's really difficult to go for an objective when you don't have that pressured. And since Putney doesn't have his teleport and he's backing off at the moment, there should not be any decision right now to look for that dragon, because you need all 4 members to take it at this early stage of the game, and they need to have that lane pressure.
Absolutely, and Luxy is putting a lot of attention towards his top side. I just really don't agree with it personally. I mean, I think this is the last thing that you want to focus if you are the side of Impulse. You need to still... We saw them meet up in the bot side, right? We outlined before in the pregame, like, there's probably going to be a lot of attention towards the bot side for both these teams, and rightfully so. I mean, it is a Kog'Maw pick. You need to make sure it doesn't go ahead, and nice catch out.
Yeah, Bluxy going on to Juju. Juju taking a lot of damage, and Blux is able to get the final kill. Will he tick on down? And yes, he will. Your Nurse picks up the first kill for Impulse ghosting, and that's very well done. They get the pick onto him. Bluxy got into the jungle and got him into a dangerous position, but because your Nurse had the lane pressured up, Rexus had the lane pressured up, they're able to walk on over, and that is what lane priority does for your team.
And well played too, coming out from Bluxy. I mean, I agree with the play overall. A little slingshot in, but not going to be much. I agree with the play overall. It's not about ganking that top lane. It's about controlling the jungle. You have a better pre-level 6 than the Zac, and actually just early game in general than the Zac. You come out with more damage. You have the Cocoon to work with as well. They do find themselves a pick, so that is going to be some nice gold onto the mid laner, your Nurse as well. Like I said, might be hard to play this Cassiopeia in these mid to... That gold lead might just help them get there.
Yeah, now the Infernal Drag is still the focus by both sides. So Bluxy's on the bottom side. They do have some vision from Polar Ace in the jungle, but if Vashon can clear out his top side and then make his way on down, they could possibly look for it. But, with the pressure that Swifty has on the lane, they keep that up. It will mean that Polar Ace has to look for a kill bot side rather than just putting the pressure on it to even look for this dragon.
Yeah, it totally depends on who's able to keep that control of the river. And strike first, I would say. Some nice damage coming into the top lane. And Rexless, he does have around a 20 CS lead coming in. That might just drop a little bit with this mini wave, but either way, this split push going to be much more devastating, I would say, for the side of Impulse. That could be some point to play around once you get towards that mid game. We'll have to see if Rexless is able to take the advantage for himself. Didn't hear too much of him from that game too, but it all rides on this game 3 for the side of Impulse. Gotta feel they are sort of at the back foot in this moment.
Yeah, and now there is a chance they Impulse want to look for a play here in the jungle. Alistar and Elise walking up. They are being spotted out. Putney making his way on over. Horizon as well going to the jungle. But now Putney is the target. Bluxy is going to try to get on to top of him. But Horizon with the follow-up to keep him alive. And not going to be much of a problem there.
Yeah, that forces out the Hemo Plague as well. So crucial cooldowns being taken out. You get the Wild Growth. You get the Hemo Plague.
Oh, okay. Now they're really looking for Bluxy here. Jack with almost the damage that they wanted, but trying to keep the control ward in their favor. Bashan now walking forward, and this could be bad for Polar Ace. Rest of the team making their way. Bluxy's already down to 50%, and this means that Polar Ace could look for something down here on the bot side maybe, or just decide to back off, and this reset could help out Bluxy to where They can look for the Infernal soon. There is a pinging down in the bot side. Bluxy is going to, or excuse me, Bishan is going to go on in, but Swifty's going to get away as Ezreal's very safe AD carry, and it's very hard to lock him down.
Yeah, and I would say overall, I would love to see just a Force Drake come out. You have TP priority from your top laner, Juju, that on cooldown for still half of its duration. So you do have a potential 5v4 to play around. You force the crucial CCs out of the mid-end support for the side of Polar Ace, but it's coming back up very soon and just did not pull the trigger in the end. So going to look for their next opportunity, but how many are they going to get?
Yeah, I'm not sure, but Rexo's doing a fair amount of damage to Juju. He does get the Conqueror procced finally, but he is dealing damage to himself because of that Bramble Vest. And, you know, one thing to note is Juju, it's going to be hard to take him down because of the Biscuit delivery plus the Time War Tonic, but now there's a teleport coming in from Rexus. There is Sion probably going to ult him down to stop him there, and Jack will pick up the kill onto Hero. And the rest of Polar Ace trying to get themselves away. The teleport's actually going to go through. Rexus tries to follow with a nice ultimate. Wow. The Vanguard's edge gets into the back line. Rexus trying to get onto one more, but Jack once again dealing the damage, allowing for Putney to pick up the kill. Zach is very low, but Swifty will be the one to take him down. 2 kills to 4 in this game.
Yeah, and a relatively good skirmish overall. Now Juju finally rotating. Didn't have that TP like we said, but looks like they're going to flex on over to this dragon.
Okay, a lot of damage there from Swifty and Bluxy. Bluxy tried to look for the cocoon, wasn't able to find it. Juju flashes forward and gets the kill. And now Hero for himself flashes forward and... Ooh, Swifty in a really bad spot. 3 members still there. Hero trying to make his way over to his AD carry. Horizon now walking up forward. Juju trying to block him at the very moment. Swifty doing a lot of damage here. And Hero goes over to protect his AD carry, but that is nicely done there by Impulse to push the rest of Polar Ace away. And just a little skirmish that will get some gold for either side, and that is a teleport down by Rexus. So next fight that will happen will be in favor for Polar Ace because they have the double teleport at the very moment, and will be a lot better for them when they try to look for an Inferno play. And there's only 4 tiers left, well, there is 4 tiers left, not only, but 4 tiers left for the Scion. So he still has an opportunity to make a teleport play, make it back to his lane before Rexless is able to push it out. And, you know, that Infernal Drake is going to be so helpful to Polar Ace.
Absolutely. And, I mean, let's talk about that teleport, first of all, because it was an engage coming out for the side of Bluxy on the side of Team Impulse. I mean, they tried to find a pick. They did end up going 1-for-1, but they blew that TP in. Now the TP advantage in favor of Juju here in this top lane. A lot of plates actually going down.
Oh, but now
nice gank.
Yeah, in the mid lane, Bashan is going to lock up your Nurse. Hero's
dead.
there to try to keep him alive. Putney now trying to run away. Is going to get ignited up, maybe followed up by the Pulverize. And Bluxy lands a nice root onto him. He doesn't have the pool to keep himself safe for any longer. The flash on board. Bluxy's going to take him down.
Impulse pull the trigger on this mid lane, and they end up taking a nice kill for themselves. Might just transfer that over to Dragon, and with TP not mattering anymore, both top laners roam down, so actually just complete advantage here for Impulse. A nice play.
Oh, okay.
There's the Hex Flash.
Yeah, the Hex Flash forward. Horizon's going to use his ult to block it. Now Bashan's going back in onto Hero. He does get stunned up, and the rest of Impulse pushing them away. This is the the Dragon play. Putney is down, but he does have teleport. There's a chance for him to go in. The Inferno's going to be taken down. Juju gets knocked, or knocks up 2 of them, and now Jack should be able to slowly take them down. Bluxy's the first one to get killed. Juju gets the kill for himself, and the rest of Polar Ace trying to push on forward. Your Nurse dealing a lot of damage. 3-man stun on to Polar Ace. Pushes them away. Will Putney be taken down? Yes, he will! The poison will take him down. Bashan gets taken very low. And that's a very nicely done play by Impulse, taking the Inferno for themselves, getting themselves a couple of kills. And now your Nurse is 3-0. This is what we were talking about. Your Nurse needed to step up his game and get on a champion that he was comfortable with. That is the Cassiopeia. He is 3-0-2 now, and he is the carry for his team.
Yeah, that Petrifying Gaze cutting off any more potential for that team fight coming out for Polar Ace, and absolutely taking a 2-for-2 trade and the Infernal Drake. That is 100% a nice play coming out for the side of Impulse. They need to now utilize this Infernal Drake, utilize their early damage, perhaps take more on the map. I mean, I'd love to see some more vision play and more invades coming out from the side of Bluxy, along with Hero. I think they both have a certain amount of innate safety to them. You have the Unbreakable Will for the Alistair. You have the Repel for the Elise as well. And they just need to put priority on the lanes that they want to control and really start taking from there.
Yeah, now Ezreal getting some damage onto the turret, and then Inferno will help out your nurse. Swifty deal the damage. And you know what you were saying, or at least I was saying, Swifty had the lack of damage, and you know, one thing's for certain, with that Inferno, it will help that lack of damage that he originally had here. But now on the top side, Bluxy is there to try to help out. Rexless look for a kill onto Juju, but Juju is too tanky and just has to walk around and have no problem getting out.
Yeah, and on the other side, we do have Bishan hovering in this mid lane. We'll see if he goes for an engage here. Looks like it.
Yeah, there it is. Jumping on forward. Your nurse with a nice petrifying engage to put Putney down. But now Hero is here. The rest of his team maybe looking for something here. Putney does have the pool to stay alive for a little bit longer. The Bishan is going to jump onto Bluxy to keep his mid laner alive. And that is 2 flashes being used. Now Horizon and Jack trying to look for something here on the bot side. But Swifty wisely being able to push him away. And that should mean Herald for Impulse right now, and if they're able to get that Herald off in the mid lane or even the top lane and allow for your nurse and Rexless to make their way across the map, it will open up so much opportunity for this team.
Absolutely, this Rift Herald is crucial, and it looks like they might just end up securing it as well. Do have a pink ward as well, so if anyone tries to gain any vision on it, you do have that denied for yourself. Looks like it's going to be the Rift Herald, and overall, still a good, healthy lead started for the side of Impulse, around 2,000 gold. I'll have to see how they now try and extend their lead. You have Ezreal starting to work towards that Triforce now, and perhaps when you get that finished up, that is definitely a power point you can look to. I have to talk about it. In these team fights, I have not noticed Jack yet, right? He has not come online. That's mid tower going down for your nurse. And Rift Herald, you're going to expect another one in favor of Impulse as well.
Yeah, now on the bot side, Swifty is the target. Jack's trying to get on top of him. Horizon giving the extra attack speed, and he's going to burn him down. There's the play that you wanted to see. The double teleport is going to come on through. Horizon going to be stunned on up. Rexless looking for the kill to finalize it, and finally gets it. Hero now trying to get on to Jack, keep him down for a little bit longer, and the rest of Polar Ace making their way on over. Bluxy gets the kill on to Jack. Rexless getting very low. He is able to heal up with a nice pulverize from the support. Impulse will be able to try to stay alive for a little bit longer, but Bashan with the damage gets a kill for himself and now pulls them together. Will Bashan be able to get them? No, they will not. Juju now is the only one left as his teammate is lying on the floor in a puddle. Juju flashes forward, tries to get the kill on the Bluxy and does not get it until the end, and Bluxy gets taken down. And now Juju with the... Was that a triple?
I'm not quite sure. It looked like just the double, but Rexel is also getting a double himself. I gotta say, that highlight of that skirmish was Rexless just dancing throughout the entire bot lane there, trying to escape as much damage as possible, and I believe it ended up being a slightly even trade. I think it was actually 4 for 4. That was a huge slugfest.
I'm not specifically sure what happened there, but it was nicely done by Impulse at the start. It was looking pretty good. And then Juju and Bashan, out of nowhere, just had so much damage. These two tanks are standing up to these two members and are just destroying them. And then slowly but surely take them both down.
Yeah, now it's time to take stock here for the side of Impulse. I think we need to really track where they're going, where their trajectory is this game. And you already have a 3-0-2. Cassiopeia for your nurse, 600 gold bounty on him. You also have Rexless coming out with a strong game. Ooh, that was so close, but not quite the pick. Not even sure if you wanted it, but you did have your nurse hovering that mid-game, ready to rotate. Nice little damage, but there's the Rift Herald going down. It looks like it was a bot lane.
Yeah, but now in the mid lane, Putney is the focus. Rexless going to land it on top of him. He does have the pool, but he is going to be taken down without a problem. And that Herald not going to be used the way they wanted, but the Herald will distract him for long enough. They get the mountain drag for themselves. The mid laner's been taken down. 3 members of Polar Ace are still on the bot side, which means Rexless can push out this mid lane and open up the map even more for Impulse Ghosting at the moment. Polar Ace has to answer this. They lost their mid laner to a 1v1. They lost 2 turrets now, and that bot lane turret is getting taken very low as well as the top, and opens up that Baron play for Impulse.
and Polar Ace are just being strung across the entire map. You saw it, the priority coming out in the mid lane. Nice pick coming out from Rexless, and this pulls them away from the bot lane. Now here's an engage coming in.
Yeah, Bashan looking for something, does get the bounce off, but it's not going to follow up with anybody. Teleport's coming through from Putney. Bashan gets taken very low, and the rest of Polar Ace has to back off here as their jungler was taken down to about 10% HP. And that teleport being down is really going to hurt Putney. I thought that there was going to be more of a fight. The rest of Impulse was possibly going to go in, but Impulse wisely realizing the teleport was coming through, and that'd be better for them just to take the advantage of that. They saw Bashan get taken low. They take the top lane turret, which means this topside jungle can be Impulse's advantage and maybe look for that Baron control.
Absolutely, and I gotta say, I love the play from Impulse coming out. They're just taking as much control as possible in the side of Polar Ace's jungle, and it works in their favor as well. I mean, you think about the Elise, Rexalis on the Irelia as well. If you manage to find these picks, you have so much damage potential to work with, and exactly what matters. You need to accelerate this game. You need to make sure that Jack cannot get the necessary items to take over team fights. It's definitely a fine line they're getting towards right now, because Jack, he is getting a good amount of CS in his pocket at the moment, working on that second item, Rage Blade. We'll see where he goes from there. Probably going to be that Hurricane, if I had to guess.
Yeah, and now Rex was putting the pressure on the bot side. He should be able to take out that turret, which means that all three turrets for Polar Ace have been taken down, the tier 1 turrets, and now that completely opens up the map, and Bluxy's actually making his way down bot side. It's interesting for him to go there, but he realizes he only has one opportunity, or one jungle camp left to look for some gold for himself, and Baron's not going to be taken anytime soon by Polar Ace, and he knows that the rest of his team's going to be playing fairly safe. And I got to agree with you. If Jack is able to get the lead in the later end of this game, around 30 minutes, 35, and get the items, he should be a devastating force if he stays alive. You have the two front lines from Bashan and Juju. And also, one thing to note, Jack has just gotten Bork and Rageblade right now. He has not had Rageblade in any of the fights. And yeah, it did get nerfed, but it still has a fair amount of damage to it as well. So that being grabbed already, the Arden Sensor being grabbed by Horizon, if you have that kind of protection, the extra attack speed, the extra bonus damage from all those items, Jack should be, at least at this point, start to do something.
Absolutely. This build right now for Jack, it does bring him a good amount of strength. The one caveat that I do have to mention is that in all these skirmishes, Jack has not been able to free hit at all. I think they've been just way too crazy. Another skirmish coming in, and that's going to be the instant pick onto Ace Horizon. You got to believe giving control over for the side of Impulse.
Gone. Just destroyed. Bluxy finds a kill onto Horizon, and because they do, that means that they can push out this turret. They know that Vladimir's topside is still recalling, not made it back to the base yet. Bashan is there, but Bluxy lands a nice root onto Jack, and Jack gets taken down. This could mean that Impulse may look for a possible hard push here and look for a couple turrets and inhibitor. They do get the mid lane inhibitor. Bashan's on the side. He is spotted up on a ward. Bluxy misses the root there. Bashan gets himself away, but Rexless on the bottom side, keeping the pressure up. And now Impulse, because they got the pick onto the bot lane from Polar Ace, they get that mid lane inhibitor. And now that they have the super minions in the mid lane, they can decide, do we want to go bot, do we want to go top? And you know, I think Impulse's best bet is to put 4 top and 1 bot with that teleport from Aurelia and keep both lanes pressured as you have those super minions in the mid lane.
Absolutely, and I mean, just taking trips when Dragon is up, but like you said, that split push still going to be working for you, I believe, and you cannot leave that Aurelia unattended. She does have a good amount of damage to be putting onto the tower. I think overall, you got to look at Polar Ace's play and say, they're just getting sucked in way too much by this skirmish playstyle, by this pick playstyle, coming out for the side of Impulse, going way too much in their favor. We outlined it. Are they going to be able to weather the early game storm? Doesn't look like it.
Yeah, and Juju gets taken low with the ultimate. Nice snipe from Swifty there. Takes him down. 4 members only are on Polar Ace. Bashan now going in onto your Nurse. Your Nurse is able to kite it away for a little bit longer. Gets clapped together with the super minion. But the petrifying gaze takes him down, and your Nurse will be able to follow up with another kill. Hero's going on in. He's so tanky. They can't do anything. And because Jack is not Jack is gone, and the rest of the team has no damage. There's no front line, and Impulse Ghosting should be able to end out this game and set themselves into the semifinals.
And what a play coming out. What a game coming out for the side of Impulse. They played this early game absolutely phenomenally. I mean, it started up as a slow ramp, but 26 minutes in, a little bit of skirmishing, but they take the game. They take those series win over Polar Ace Academy, and they get into those semifinals as well.
Man, we started off, we said Impulse had this game. It was a very close, these teams are very close in rank, and I said Impulse had the favor, and they did. You saw them in game 1, they did well, and then game 2, they looked a little off. They didn't seem like themselves, and Bashan got on one of his comfort picks and then was able to get Jack ahead. And then in game number 3, to me, it seemed like Jack really took a wild shot with the Kog'Maw because, as you said, Kog'Maw needs a lot of items to become strong in the later end of the game. While if you look at it, Swifty doesn't really need too many. He needs 2 to 3 to be really strong and actually be viable, as you saw right there at the end. And then your nurse was getting so strong anyways, and so I think it was a very long shot for them to go for Kog'Maw and Lulu in the bot lane. Definitely a combo that is strong, but didn't play out the way they wanted it.
Absolutely. And when you look at the Kog'Maw on paper, yeah, it looks fantastic into the composition coming out for the side of Team Impulse, but you miss one very crucial step. You had to reach the power spike of the Kog'Maw. Only 2 items secured for Jack there, and the bot lane overall, it was sort of bleeding pressure all over, I gotta say. I mean, you saw so much presence coming out from Swifty and Hero this game. You saw when they started to pester Bishan on the Zac around that blue buff, even in the extremely early game, they were just putting out the pressure that they need to put out. Your nurse, he held his own for himself, did not drop even 1 kill. 5-0-2 for him. Rexalis and Bluxy. I mean, Bluxy basically orchestrated that entire early game, and it came out fine for them. They got the early Drakes, did not drop a Drake, and they managed to play this accelerated pick style that managed to give them the win over Polar Ace. And I mean, across the board, it could have gone terrible for the side of Impulse, but they stuck to their strengths. And you know what, Zonite? This was actually the shortest game of the series, so what a time to come out powerful for the side of Team Impulse.
Yeah, and definitely a good way to end for Impulse because you know what that means. Impulse going to the semifinals and Polar Ace being taken down. Sadly, they are out of the Champions League at the moment, and Impulse is still in there for the fight. So we have 4 teams left. In the first place, you have Recon 5. In second place, you have Lakeside Gaming. In third place, you have Fruition Premier. And in fourth place now, you have Impulse Ghosting. Here's the thing. Recon 5, LSG, they got their buys. They have already set themselves in the semifinals. Now, because Recon 5 did get in first place, they have the choice, Fruition or Impulse Ghosting. So keep in touch on the Discord to make sure that you know whether or not next week we will have Fruition taking on Recon 5 or LSG, and same fate for the team of Impulse Ghosting. Will they go against Recon 5 or LSG? Thank you all so much for watching. Switch, thank you for joining me for this cast tonight.
Hey, it was a pleasure, my guy. Fun games overall, and great organization.
Yeah, thank you so much, and hope you all have a great night. Thank you once again for everybody who followed and joined us tonight. Be sure to keep an eye out for next week as the semifinals are still going on and the playoffs are pushing forward. We'll see you all next week. Thank you once again for watching. Have a great night.